Reaches up with one hand and grabs it in. Ryan RPO throws uphill for Michael Pittman Jr. Circles up a tackle, drives across the goal line. Touchdown! Touchdown! Michael Pittman Jr.
He is out for the rest of the game.
Hey, Melissa, the early word is a hamstring injury on Godwin. There's the play that he perhaps heard it. You don't know if he initially heard it earlier on, but it was after that play he came to the sideline.
For that ACL and MCL in his right knee.
Getting you ready for NFL action with information, advice, and entertainment. The Game Day Playbook presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into NFL Week 2. This is the Fantasy Alarm Game Day Playbook. I'm John Impemba with Andrew Cooper. Coop, man, we survived Week 1 of the NFL season, and we are here now, Week 2, Bettor Sports Network, bringing you all of the early action here, giving you injury updates, answering your start questions, going through our game previews, and we have a big lineup today, and we want you all to be involved in today's show. Coop, tell people how they can join in with us today.
Yeah, so you can jump in, interact with us a bunch of ways. You can jump in the chat, throw your start sits in there. I already see Get in the Game, Tommy in there. Morning, guys, let's go. You can also call in, and you can do that with video. You can do that just on the phone, and we'll put you on because this is our show, and we do whatever we want. So if you want to come and talk about whatever, you want to show us your man cave, you want to show us some memorabilia. We always love talking memorabilia. In fact, we're going to give away an autographed jersey later on in the show because that's the kind of stuff we do with Bettor Sports. So yeah, that's how you do it. And if you could, download the app, leave us a positive review. That means the world to us, and we're going to do our best to help you win your leagues. So
yeah, we got a big show. We got a big show here today. If you're at MetLife Stadium, go find Nick Durst. He's walking around, man on the street, right? He's going to come talk to you. Your guy's going to talk to us. And we're going to answer your questions, talk about this game between the Giants and the Titans today. It should be a pretty good one there. Our Panthers, rather, right? Facing the Panthers today.
He's over at lot F12. So head over to lot F12, find Nick Durst, and you'll be on the show today from the game live.
Yep, and we're also going to be joined by Alex Barth, Patriots beat writer from 98.5 thesportshub.com. Coop and I, of course, Patriots fans. Maybe this was a little bit of a homer pick, but we're going to interview him today about the Patriots situation as they face the Steelers. So we have a lot going on today in our show, but stick with the channel all day. We have a great lineup for you all. Front Yard Fantasies right after us there with Simon, Joey, and Joey L from 11 to 1, and then 1 to 5. We have Better Zone with Corey, Adam, and Tom taking you throughout the day, live action. So Coop, we have a ton to get to, man. Why don't we break into the injuries here? Because as we were jumping on, right, we got some of those Adam Schefter tweets. Big name of the day, not likely to play, Alvin Kamara.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a huge one. Ribs are tough. I'd rather have him, because the thing with ribs is if you don't let them heal, they never heal. That especially when it's not just the bone, a lot of times it's the cartilage too.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have him just sit out and get right than just play the entire season tenderly. So he's out, and I think Mark Ingram's also a little banged up, so could be dicey over there with that situation.
Did they ever elevate Latavius Murray from the practice squad? Because we know we signed him to the practice squad.
I think they did. I mean, that's the exact kind of guy that that you do want to bring up because he's familiar with the team, familiar with the playbook. I think they did bring him up, but we'll double check on that.
Yeah. So we have that. Obviously, we know that Chris Godwin has been ruled out already with his hamstring injury there. DeAndre Swift is questionable with his sprained ankle. Mike Evans is going to be questionable to play, though. I thought Schefter said he's likely to suit up. Julio Jones is a game time decision, so that Tampa Bay wide receiver group a little bit banged up today, and it's a tough matchup against that New Orleans secondary there. Lattimore's going to get somebody. He has had better success against Evans than Julio Jones in his career. But if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, or if you're a fantasy gamer or DFS player, you're going to be looking closely at that situation today.
Yeah, I mean, anytime to be honest, he's such a pain that Lattimore is, that I'm worried that at any given time, Mike Evans is going to get into a fight with him and get thrown out of the game. We've seen that happen like 2 or 3 times now. It's like, it's like the old Cortland Finnegan versus Andre Johnson battles, right? Where they would literally be throwing punches and pulling each other's chains off. That's what these two dudes do. It's historically not a good matchup for Evans, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. So as more news breaks, if it breaks, we're going to have it for you, Coop. Any other big names? Pittman, right? Ruled out
Yeah.
today. That's a big one.
I got one. I got info. I just got an update. Latavius Murray was not elevated, so he's not
Okay.
going to play this week. So looks like, they got some confidence in Mark Ingram. And yeah, Michael Pittman is out, and so is rookie Alec Pierce, who he had the very rough one of three rookies to have a brutal debut this week, right? He had the pass go right off his face mask in the end zone. We had Christian Watson drop one that was a surefire touchdown, and then of course James Cook fumbled his very first carry ever. So kind of a rough start for some rookies, but with those guys out, once we get to that, we'll preview that whole game. So we'll let you know who you want to keep your eye on from that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we want you guys in on the action with us today. So go ahead, download the app, get in, ask us questions. Coop and I are here to help you guys today with your start sits, with your DFS questions, or just regular questions in general. We're here to talk about it, help you guys get through. Coop, let's go through some of these game breakdowns. We'll start off. We have Baltimore at home against Miami. Baltimore's a 3.5-point home favorite here, 44.5 game total. We looked at Miami last week. Their defense looked really good. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had some big games against New England. Flip side of that, Baltimore faced the Jets. Really an easy walk for them. Lamar Jackson had 3 touchdowns in that game. J.K. Dobbins, we're thinking, is going to be suiting up today for Baltimore. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, so one thing that people need to realize from week one is that it's such a small sample size, and the games aren't all created equally. Like in one game, for instance, you have an overtime game between the Bengals and the Steelers where the Bengals run 100 snaps. The Ravens were kind of the opposite. They were scoring so efficiently and easily. They only ran 56 offensive snaps. The Jets ran 84. So when I look at the Ravens, I look at a team that now in a tougher matchup, we're going to see a little bit more of what Rashad Bateman can do, what Mark Andrews can do, because they didn't really need to do it last week. Now with J.K. Dobbins, John, are you willing to go there? I mean, how deep does the question need to go for you to consider J.K. Dobbins over somebody else? Like we got to.
Yeah, I don't think I'm willing to go there yet. I mean, you got to figure he's at the very least going to be pretty limited. It is his first game action. I have to believe that they're going to go ahead and maybe he gets 15 touches at the most, right? Like they're not just going to jump him into game action right away. Kenny Drake was the primary back over Mike Davis last week. I think we kind of all figured that would be because Mike Davis isn't that good of a running back. So, there's going to be a timeshare there. We obviously know Lamar Jackson's going to run the football, but this is a different team they're facing, right? This isn't the Jets. This is a really good Miami Dolphins defense. So I think that Baltimore's going to be put to the test. In a pick'em league that I do, I actually took Miami with the points here. I think Miami's going to be really good. I like the offense that they put on the field, and I think their defense is top notch. So, it wouldn't be surprising to me if they pull off a road upset here today. That's something to watch, and we'll see how much success Baltimore can have.
Yeah, they looked real good. And I don't think it was just because the Patriots aren't a good team. Like they were executing at all levels, really. I'm interested to see if Chase Edmonds can get it going today. He got the bulk of the work. Just, Patriots kind of a tough run D. And just want to shout out Matt in the chat, Nick Durst, Tommy, thanks for joining us. 21 Donut Boy, we see your question there. We're going to do our best because we got a lot to hit on, all these different games. We're going to do our best to mix in the start sit questions as the relevant games come up. So, for instance, you threw out pick 2, Jeff Wilson, Michael Carter, Mark Ingram, Cordell Patterson. As soon as we hit a game with one of those guys in it, we'll answer that question for you. So stay tuned. We're going to do our best to answer all the start sits and do it as we hit those games.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So it's going to be interesting to see Miami, Baltimore. I want to see if Jalen Waddle can continue to be as explosive. He had that big play, Tyreek Hill, we know, last week as well. The running backs, probably not a good test for them today. Edmonds and Mostert struggled last week. I think that we're going to see them probably struggle against a Baltimore run defense here as well. But the one thing we did see last week, Baltimore's pretty susceptible to running back catching the football. Both Breece Hall and Michael Carter had big days in the passing game. Both Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds can catch the football. So that's a way they could probably find some fantasy football value in this matchup today against Baltimore. Anything else for you, Coop, in this game?
Yeah, so I imagine those guys are going to be heavily involved. And I want to see what happens with the wide receivers. Last week, Elijah Moore was the guy that played like every snap. And then Corey Davis played split end, but he didn't play a full snap share. And then Garrett Wilson and Braxton Berrios kind of mixed in, but didn't play a full snap share. Right now, Elijah Moore, with the snaps he was taking is a start for me. Corey Davis, it's got to be kind of a deeper league or maybe a DFS play. But to me, Wilson and Berrios are not startable as of now. I want to see if Garrett Wilson can get ramped up because he's the most interesting of that group. But for now, can't trust those guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. Garrett Wilson did actually look pretty decent, though. Again, a lot of garbage time there for the Jets, so take that for what it's worth. Next matchup that we got going on, we have New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns, as we mentioned here. And Michael Carter was a question in our chat from 21 Donut Boys. So let me ask you, now that we're here, Jeff Wilson, Michael Carter, Mark Ingram, Cordell Patterson, and a full PPR coup. We need two.
Yeah, I kind of jumped the gun talking about the Jets there. Sorry about that. Like a second ago, you were talking Ravens defense. But yeah, of those guys, I'm definitely starting Jeff Wilson. He came in, got all the touches, right? Like when Elijah Mitchell went out, it was a Jeff Wilson show. So you went out. I imagine you just grabbed him off waivers. You probably spent a bunch of fab or an early pick. Get him in there. Utilize it. After that, I think I'm starting Cordell Patterson, given the usage he had. Michael Carter was splitting. Mark Ingram, we know he's a little banged up. And it's also the Bucs, right? Like the Bucs are one of the toughest run defenses out there. So I think I'm going Patterson. What do you think, John?
Yeah, listen, my worry there is more so the matchup against the Rams, right? So, but he got a ton of work. There is no Damian Williams. Tyler Allgeier's not that great of a running back. You just have to wonder, are they going to be up enough to give Cordell Patterson that volume? They're 10-point road dogs here today. So, that's my biggest worry. I think Carter for sure is somebody I'm going to put in my lineup. It's probably going to be Wilson. If I'm picking two, I'm probably going to go Carter and Wilson. Ingram, again, trying to run up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Nobody runs on Tampa Bay. There's maybe only a little bit of PPR value with Ingram because they don't mind throwing to him. But I think I'm going to go Wilson and Carter today in a full PPR.
Yeah, I think I don't know, because the thing about Patterson is that even when he catches passes and it's full PPR, so even in a bad game script, he could be all right.
Yeah, I guess, but he would have to have pretty elite catching volume. And again, what are we believing in Marcus Mariota as a passer? And if they are in a spot, I mean, you've talked a lot about Kyle. We'll talk about it when we get to that game. But you talked about a lot of Kyle Pitts having to stay in and block. The Rams defense is probably going to keep that in. So maybe Patterson finds some value there. But we do have the Jets and Cleveland Browns here. CJ Uzomah is doubtful to play today. Tyler Conklin actually had a pretty good game out of tight end last week. I know you're not the biggest Tyler Conklin guy when he was with Minnesota, but does that change for you here with New York?
Well, the problem with Tyler Conklin is that he's a very good blocker, which in real life is a good thing, but in fantasy, it's not that great. Last year, he blocked on more pass plays than any tight end in the entire league. So, and then this last week, he came out and he blocked on more pass plays than he got targets, right? One of only 3 guys to do so last week. So that's the concern for me. The fact that they ran 84 snaps, as I alluded to earlier, is kind of what masked that, right? Because when you have that bulk number of plays and that bulk number of pass attempts, Joe Flacco throwing a billion times, it kind of covers that up. So I'm not super excited about him. But it's at a certain point you have to decide whether you want to go with the safe guy, which a Tyler Conklin kind of is, versus like a high risk, high reward guy like a Cole Kmet or Evan.
Yeah.
I like going high risk early in the season, but it's worth holding on to Conklin in case the wheels fall off all your other options.
Sure. On the Cleveland side of things here as well, we had last week Donovan Peoples-Jones with just a monster amount of targets. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I'm in. You know me, dude. I was already loaded up on Donovan Peoples-Jones cards on that Rainmakers app over on DraftKings. I was looking at the schedule. They're playing next Thursday. That's going to be a hot slate. So I was already loaded up there. He not only did he get the targets, but he played the exact number of snaps and ran the exact number of routes as Amari Cooper. That means that they view these guys as their split end and flanker, the 2 outside guys. After that, they kind of use either 2 tight ends, or they use a slot guy, or they use 2 running backs, even with Chubb and Hunt. But with this team, like if they're going to play those guys every snap, then I'm interested in either one of them, because down the stretch, they're going to get a better quarterback back. When it matters most in your fantasy leagues in the playoffs, they're going to have Deshaun Watson. Yeah,
so the targets there are something to obviously pay attention to. Amari Cooper, not the greatest matchup for him last week, but what are your thoughts moving forward on this passing offense, or are you just full in on the running game?
I mean, I'm pretty full in on the running game compared to the passing game. Like it's hard to get excited about Jacoby Brissett. David Njoku blocked on a ton. He blocked on 8 pass plays. He was one of the other 3 guys, so not super cool there for Njoku. And also, while we're on this game, another question in the chat from AI Revolt asked Jeff Wilson or Cordarrelle Patterson. We actually just went through that one. We trust Jeff Wilson in his matchup more than we do Cordarrelle Patterson.
He also threw us a standard PPR, which is I guess is that full PPR? I guess.
I imagine, but either way, it's I have Jeff Wilson over Cordarrelle Patterson in standard half and PPR.
Yeah. What I like about Wilson today again is if you looked at the game last week and the weather issues, right? It's supposed to rain again in San Francisco today. It rained in Chicago and was windy. It's going to be rainy and windy in San Francisco today. So at least at the last check that I saw in their weather report, not great for throwing the football if you're Trey Lance. Should be good for their running game though. So give me Wilson as we go on there.
For anyone jumping in, we see the questions trickling in. We're going to work them into the relevant games, right? So Julio Jones or Tyler Boyd. As soon as we get to the Bucs or the Bengals game, we're going to answer that question. So stick with us. Stay tuned. We're going to hit all these questions.
Yep, we'll get 2 of them again. And if you are watching and you want your question asked, go into the App Store, download the Bettor Sports Network app, sign up, subscribe, click join show, and talk to Coop and I. Maybe call in, come on the show with us, ask us your question live. We'll be here to help you guys out. Next matchup, second highest game total on the board. We have the Washington Commanders going up against the Detroit Lions here. Lions offense looked great last week. Going up against Philadelphia, all the important players scored, right? Except Hawkinson. Swift scored. Amon-Ra St. Brown scored. DJ Chark scored. And they're going up against a Washington team that looked pretty good against Jacksonville last week. What are your thoughts here? Biggest story, obviously, that we're monitoring this one is DeAndre Swift's status. Because if he's ruled out in DFS and in fantasy, Jamal Williams becomes a pretty strong play.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge for this game because Frank Ragnow is out, which is actually bigger than people don't put enough weight on the offensive line, but that's a big loss for him. He's in my opinion, a Pro Bowl All-Pro caliber guy. So this game to me is the most difficult one to pick out of all of them. Like you look at Detroit for the first time in a long time being favorites at home, but they're only slight favorites. Washington again isn't like a very unsettled team. They just play the Jaguars, so we don't know for sure what they are. Who are you picking in this one, John? If you had to pick someone to just to win.
Yeah, I know. I took Detroit. I think they're able to just outscore Washington at this point. Because again, on the road, I think is a tougher test for Washington here. I want to see what Carson Wentz can do. And as good as Carson Wentz was last week, a lot of his work came on sort of shorter passes. We talked about Curtis Samuel and that very low ADOT. Antonio Gibson, very low, 7 targets for him, 7 catches rather in that game for him. We saw Jahan Dotson catch 2 touchdowns. Is that likely to repeat itself? McLaurin came through to score. I know that Detroit's defense isn't great. Obviously, we saw that with Philly lighting them up. But I think if we're getting into a race and you look at each side of the team, I kind of like the Lions offense a little bit better here. I'm not sure if you agree or disagree, but I think we're going to see a lot of points, 49.5 game total. So in fantasy, I think everything's in play. I do have some Chark exposure today in DFS. I'm a big fan of him and where he's valued at today. So, this isn't a bad game to mini stack.
Yeah, for sure. They hung 35 on the Eagles last week. With the Lions, it's never been a problem. The offense is great. It's the defense that's terrible. That's where they need to rebuild. They made the smart move taking Hutchinson with their first overall pick.
Yeah, they got a Coda last year too, right? Out the cornerback situation. So
it's coming around, but it's not there yet. I think next year with that Amazon money coming in, they go out, buy some hired gun defensive players, and now they're in the mix. And I just want to say shout out in the chat from Jimmy Spilkin. Morning, guys. No better way to start a Sunday than with the hashtag FA family, listening in, absorbing all the nuggets of information I need to best set my lineups. Hey, thanks for tuning in, man. We're going to do our best to help you guys out.
Yeah, and like I said, if you guys are sending questions into the chat, we will get to them as we're coming across the games. Coop, they're coming in fast. We are talking about the Lions game. So we got one right now from Craig Wayne, Ramondre Stevenson or Jamal Williams in a half PPR. Not knowing the status of Swift, we're looking at 2 running backs in timeshares. Williams did vulture 2 touchdowns last week from Swift. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, they love the guy, right? Like he's a spiritual leader of that team, Jamal Williams. So it's hard to deny that they're, that they're willing to use him in those situations and put him in, especially with Swift having the ankle injury. I would not be surprised when it gets down to those gritty situations for them to go and put Jamal in. So if you're looking for a DFS stab, Jamal Williams could once again be that guy.
Yep, I agree with you there. If we're going down, all right, let me ask you one more thing. Are you buying into Curtis Samuel's usage?
So I mean, we know what it is. I'm only starting that guy in full PPR because, he got a ton of targets, but his average depth of target is like 2 yards. He's basically running these like gadgety, screen passy plays. Jahan Dotson, I think, is the higher upside long-term. He's a rookie. So the fact that he scored 2 touchdowns his first game, awesome. And he's running a 16-yard ADOT. Terry McLaurin's running like 18 yards. Like those guys are actually getting downfield. Curtis Samuel's kind of hanging around the line of scrimmage. And I'm a little worried that when Logan Thomas gets back, after fully ramped up, they're going to cannibalize each other a little bit. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about this one. I'm leaning Dotson over Curtis Samuel.
Okay, yeah, I think that's interesting. And Logan Thomas coming back, I want to continue to watch. I'm a big fan of Logan Thomas. Had him in some DFS lineups last week. Have him in a lot of best ball and seasonal leagues. So if he can kind of get back to good health, I think we are. I think we're all set here. So. Moving on to the next game here, Coop. Again, as questions continue to come in, if you want to join the show, go to the App Store, download the Bettor Sports app, hit join show after you subscribe, and get in here with us. We're doing a jersey giveaway today. If you want an opportunity to win a jersey, autographed jersey, you got to be in the app on the show. Join in. We're going to do a call-in. Numbered caller that comes in is going to have the opportunity to win that jersey there. So next game on the slate, we have the Colts facing the Jaguars. Obviously, big stories here on the Indianapolis side. No Michael Pittman, no Alec Pierce. If you're playing DFS, top 3 options are all very, very cheap. Paris Campbell, Ashton Doolin, and Kylan Granson, likely the top 3 pass catchers today. Or Jonathan Taylor's going to get 35 carries against Jacksonville. What are your thoughts here, Coop?
I think Jonathan Taylor is going to get 35 carries, but that doesn't mean that some of these guys can't be crazy values, especially in DFS. Kylan Granson last week actually came out. They ran 92 plays, and Granson played 51. Mo Alley Cox played 50, but Granson also ran 10 more routes than Mo Alley Cox. He's clearly the pass catcher of the two, playing in a bit of a. He's playing in that Trey Burton role. And Mo Alley Cox actually came out and said when they drafted him, said this guy looks just like Trey Burton. So not surprised by that at all. He's the sneaky DFS play. Not sure I trust him in my regular redraft leagues, but got to get him in there. And John, while we're on this game, we said we would hit on the questions as we got to the games. So Sleepy Refresh asked, do I start Travis Etienne, James Robinson, or David Montgomery this week? 2 Jaguars or the Bears running back?
I know I gotta go James Robinson here. What did I tell you last week? Travis Etienne scared the heck out of me when it came to where his ADP and value was. And I know we're out of draft season, right? So we really should just be ignoring ADPs at this point. But the reason why I was worried about him was that they didn't seem like the team had a real plan on how to use him. They're going to use him a little bit in the running game. They're going to use him a little bit in the passing game. And I talked about this on a couple of shows this week. And I know it was pointed out that he dropped what likely would have been a touchdown pass or 2, which would have really made his day look a lot better. But the fact that he was only targeted a handful of times, he only saw a handful of carries, while Robinson was very clearly the lead running back in this offense, worries me about Travis Etienne. Etienne's going to have his day. For me, Etienne is just a DFS play until he starts showing a little bit more consistency in this offense. So I got to go Robinson. I'm going to go Montgomery here. I'm not worried about Khalil Herbert last week getting those touchdowns. Montgomery had more touches than he did. It was just a really tough matchup for them. I like him a little bit better tonight against Green Bay. So give me Robinson and give me Montgomery of that group, Coop. What do you think of them 3?
I'm starting David Montgomery. That's the one that I like out of them because people are worried about Khalil Herbert, but he played double the snaps of Khalil Herbert. He played double the pass plays and he got double the carries. To me, that's over the grand scheme of things, usage almost always wins out. Right. Compared to just box scores. So I like Dave Montgomery, but I think you were right on James. Everyone needs to admit that you were right about Travis Etienne, that when you have that
it's 1 week. I'm not going to victory lap yet, but soon I think I probably will be.
Those gadget rolls, they can be great in real life. They catch the defense off guard. Every once in a while it's a big play, but it ends up being inconsistent for fantasy. And
yeah,
for us,
especially when they have a legitimate. If James Robinson was out, it's a whole different story. But Robinson's in, and clearly Peterson values a legitimate running back over a kind of like a scat back. So we have another question here from Joseph Singor. He's got a trade. Jonathan Taylor and Burks, and you receive Henry and AJ Brown. Treylon Burks, I'm guessing, and JT for Henry and AJ Brown. Coop, which way do you lean?
A very Titans heavy trade here. I would take the side getting Derrick Henry and AJ.
Yes,
Brown. You're giving up the best player, dude.
AJ Brown is better than Burks by a mile, right? Yeah. And there really probably isn't going to be a huge difference between Henry if he stays healthy and Jonathan Taylor at the end of the season. So give me that side for sure. Next matchup here, Coop, and this is the big one of the day, I think, in the early slate. We have Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into the New Orleans Saints. Saints are 2.5-point home underdogs, a 44.5 game total. The biggest problem is, right now, maybe it's a good time to bet the Saints, right? Because we know Chris Godwin's out. We know that Julio Jones is a game time decision. We know Mike Evans is more than likely going to play, but still unsure. Evans had a tough history against New Orleans with Lattimore there. Leonard Fournette is dealing with a hamstring injury. Russell Gage is questionable to play. Like, the entire offense for Tampa Bay is questionable today. And the Saints are still home underdogs. So maybe you float a little money on the money line on New Orleans, get some plus odds here, and then hope that Tampa Bay offense, which didn't look good in week 1 against Dallas, pulls it off as an outright winner with New Orleans, even with Alvin Kamara not playing today.
Tommy makes a good point. Never bet against the GOAT in the chat.
We're Tom Brady fans here. Love Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. I got a picture of him right behind me right now.
You know what? So. We know what happened last year. Tom Brady sucked on the road. We talked about that as the big narrative last year. His numbers on the road versus home were not very good. Struggled in New Orleans. So this is a matchup where I'm a little iffy on Tampa Bay. What's going on in Tom Brady's personal life? How much is that overtaking his preparation or his focus? He's also looking like a skeleton at his press conferences. I don't know if you saw the memes out there. He's out there looking like Derek Zoolander. So,
I did see that,
who knows? Tom Brady is getting ready for his post-football Fox Sports career, I think, at the moment. So I like the Saints here. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, just shout out in the chat, Matt, our boss, Bettor Sports. Literally have not seen Coop's hair in 3 weeks. Nice lettuce. Yeah, I'm just like Tom Brady. I'm getting ready.
You got a haircut yesterday. Is that what we were talking about?
So I had to throw the hats aside. We're ready to rock and roll. It's game day, Matt. You got to get the lettuce out. But yeah, so I'm with you on betting the Saints. I am in DFS especially piecing together parts of this Buccaneers offense because I think that they're still going to throw. It's Tom Brady. He's going to be slinging the ball around. So I'm trying to get, Cameron Brate into a lineup in DFS if possible. He had good usage last week, ran a lot of routes. And for me, I'm starting Julio Jones if he's playing. And we got to start sit question on this game from Jay Bryant. He asked Julio Jones or Tyler Boyd. If Julio Jones is active, I'm starting Julio Jones. Otherwise, go Tyler Boyd. That's the way I look at that. Yeah,
especially with Higgins active. If Higgins was out, I would have probably gone Tyler Boyd there. But with Higgins in, I think that's definitely a direction to go here. Again, we talked about Alvin Kamara not being active. Ingram's likely going to be the running back, but he's a little bit banged up. We had a question earlier in the chat about Tony Jones Jr. What are your thoughts about him as a sneaky PPR play today?
Can't do it, man. Can't do it. Again, if you want to do something crazy like that, do it on a DFS lineup. Don't do it in one of your real leagues. It's just the guy was anytime you have these healthy scratch guys, it doesn't bode well typically.
Yep. We had another question on this game. Double D asked if Evans doesn't play, Robbie Anderson, DJ Chark, or Olave, or Julio rather.
Evan doesn't. Double D. I think that's actually my brother-in-law. What up, Dan the man? If Evans doesn't go, pick one. Robbie Anderson, Chark, Olave, or Julio. Wow. I don't know why.
So Julio has a really good history against Lattimore in those matchups, but that was obviously prime Julio Jones, not Julio Jones that's already dealing with some hammy issues, that kept him out of practice and in a limited participation. Robbie Anderson, of course, has the worst quarterback in football, Baker Mayfield throwing him the ball. So it's, Chark, Olave, Anderson, or Julio. I probably go Chark.
I kind of like Chark. Yeah, I was going to say, if this were my team, I would start DJ Chark. You know what I mean? And that's the advice I try to give people, what I would actually do myself. He looked good last week. He played all the snaps. He's a split end. He's a starting split end for that team, which means he's going to play every snap pretty much. So give me DJ Chark.
Yeah. And one last here, is Godwin officially out? Yes, he is officially out for this game here. So, big story there. Godwin out, Kamara out. Evans is more than likely to play based off Schefter tweets. And we have Julio Jones is a game time decision for this one. Russell Gage, of course, would be bumped up into a pretty good slot here if he ends up being active and the rest of that group is out. We know there's no other running backs really behind Lenny Fournette, but if something happens with him, all systems go for Rachaad White today. Even in a tough spot against the Saints, he could be really the only running back really available to get touches in that offense. So again, Coop and I are here with you guys, answering your questions, updating you throughout the day with the updated injury news. We want you part of the show with us. We're going to be giving away a jersey for today. So you got to get in to take part and have an opportunity to win that. Go to the App Store, download the app, Bettor Sports app, sign up, click join show. We'll give the call out to start calling in. Lucky number caller will win the jersey. We'll have you on here for the surprise giveaway. And again, stay with Bettor Sports Network all day long. We got a pretty big day today. We have Front Yard Fantasy pre-gaming with you from 11 to 1 with Simon, Joey, and Joey L, Coop's best friends there from the weekday mornings. And then 1 to 5, we have the Bettor Zone with Corey, Adam, and Tom. When Coop and I get back, we're going to continue our game previews. We're going to continue answering your questions. This is the Game Day Playbook on the Bettor Sports Network.
The Game Day Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
We got to get a team in Honolulu. Like, what about that, Ray? You think Oakland? Like, nobody's talking about Honolulu for the Oakland A's to move to. How badass would that be to have a Major League Baseball team? Instead, they want to go to like where it's 120 degrees in the desert of Vegas.
Right.
Ray, they should pick up and go to Honolulu. That would be epic right there for the A's.
You could go to Honolulu and instead of playing 12 games against a team throughout the course of the year, you just play a 12-game set. Just get it done.
What's the flight from the Bay Area? 4 hours?
It's depending which direction you're going, it's 5.5.
Okay, that's not terrible. You'd have to manage the schedule a bit.
Right.
But it's doable. Like, you play your West Coast games and then maybe you give an extra day. Like you play in San Francisco through Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then you have your Monday off. Everybody gets their Monday off and then they play, out in Hawaii for 4 games. And they come back.
It's very similar time-wise for us in California, in the Bay Area, to go to Hawaii as it is to go to New York. It's very similar. So, yeah, like you're saying, Giants do that to go to the Mets. The A's do that to go to the Yankees. They do it, so it would be very similar.
They would be they've already got the baseball background. I mean, they're dominant. The island loves their baseball. And Ray, you could even rebrand the team from the Oakland A's to the Oakland Lays. You can do the Lays, Ray. Look at that.
Good. That's actually, there's no way that would ever happen, but that's pretty good, Kyle. On the fly.
I'm giving away like free marketing right here.
Good work.
Right on the show.
The plan is for them to stay here, but the fans hate them. I don't know if the city likes them. They can't. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know. The plan
There's
is
a lot of land in Hawaii. Just think about the views, Ray, of the Pacific. It would put your crap ballpark in San Francisco to shame. Like, everybody thinks that's a good view.
Right.
They'd have like waterfalls and real palm trees and the Pacific Ocean.
People trolling fire in the 7th inning stretch.
They would make the Giants Park look like, the vet in Philly. It would look that awful if they moved to Hawaii.
And then you go to your flip-flops or shorts. They serve Mai Tais. They give Lays away. Or, the first 5,000 fans, whatever.
Well, everybody in the chat room loves it. Every time I get a compliment, I don't bring it up on the show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't want to be that guy.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network.
Handoff, Saquon. Dances left into the end zone. Touchdown, Giants. Saquon Barkley.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
I love that Sam Spence music, man. That's football sounds to me. Give me a little Sam Spence and a little that crisp weather outside. That's jamboree stuff, baby. Let's go. John, I think you're muted still, buddy.
There we go. Gets you going. You gotta hit the button, right? Red blinking in front of me, and sometimes you just miss it. So yeah, listen, we're back, right? And nothing better than a little NFL Sunday talk here, Coop. And the questions have been rolling in. So like I said, if you want to join part of the show, go to the Bettor Sports, go to your app store, download the Bettor Sports app, subscribe, hit join show, and get us some questions. Coop, we've had a lot of questions rolling in. Why don't you kind of hit us with some of the ones that we've seen so far from games that we've talked about?
Yeah. And I will say this, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to keep it rolling. So if you ask a question, we put it aside, and when we get to that game, while it's applicable, we'll hit them all. So stay tuned. We're going to hit your questions. We see them all in the chat. And also, if you want the real cheat code, if you call in, we'll put you on the air, either call in or video, and you can ask your question right there live, skip the whole line. So that's on the table, baby. We did have one come in on a game that already happened. They need to drop somebody, one of the Chiefs, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, or Isaiah Pacheco. This one's pretty easy to me, John. Are you on the same page as me?
I mean, some of those have already played, right?
Yeah,
Chiefs.
but he needs to drop somebody to add.
Sorry. Why don't you go ahead and see which way you're going?
Yeah, I mean, unless your league counts points for catching fair catches, you can probably drop Sky Moore. He played in the first two games he's played, I think, less than 10 total snaps. So Sky Moore, he's a long-term, dart throw stash. You can drop him right now. Nobody's going to go in. He didn't even play. Yeah. So nobody's going to go in and grab him.
I agree with you. Coop, we mentioned earlier, we're going to have Nick Durst available to us, coming to live from MetLife Stadium here, where we have the Giants playing today against the Panthers. Why don't we bring on Nick and see how the parking lot's doing? Some pregame action going on. Nick, can you hear us?
What's up, John? Coop? I'm stadium. The fans are pumped up. First time the Giants are 1-0 since 2016. What a disgrace. Listen, I don't know what you guys had for breakfast, but I am here. The aromas are incredible. I'm a hamburger. It's 9:37 Eastern here. I got to walk you guys over here. We got some tailgates getting set up. This guy over here, see him in the corner. He's got not one, but two grills. Let's go over and see what he's got cooking here.
A double grill. That's
double grill. That's a professional right there.
Bettor Sports Network.
Let's go.
How we doing?
We're here.
All right.
All your away game fans, you come to us. We cook up all the food for you. We know you guys need a home. We're here for you.
All right.
That's a great idea, man.
We're here every weekend for the fans of the opposite team coming to play the Jets or the Giants.
All right. So
we also do private events, everything like that.
All right. So the important question is, what do we got cooking here? We got two grills. Eric, walk us through what's on the grill here. Look at this, guys.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's a professional system right there.
Special seasoning. We got the beautiful Nathan's hot dogs, When we come over here, we got all sausages. We got hot sausages over here. We got the regular sausages over here. And we're looking to cook up and then make some nice people nice and full and ready for the game.
Hell yeah.
All right, so looks incredible. Eric, what's your football team?
So my football team is the Jets. Courtney and I, we're both season ticket holders. So, whenever we get, Jets tailgates, we love it, but we love everything else in the middle.
All right, what are you hoping for from the Jets in the coming weeks here, other than a miracle?
I would love for our offensive line to click and maybe save our quarterback, whichever one it may be.
All right, so
hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that, guys. What do you think? You think Eric should stash Mike White in his fantasy bench? Play in the second half this week?
I think you could skip Mike White.
I think they're going to go with the veteran Flacco, give him another day, see what happens.
Might
be a change.
Eric, you're talking to a couple Patriots fans here, dude. So I wish nothing but the worst for you and your Jets, brother.
That's it. The interview's over. They're closing the grill.
Interview's over.
You come to MetLife, we'll cook real good for you guys.
I was gonna say, I thought you were taking care of us away fans, man. Come on.
Yeah. Live show, Patriots Jets at MetLife.
Yeah,
MetLife Stadium.
We gotta come down and set up the studio. We'll be ready.
We had a lot of Patriots fans come out last year. It was tailgate.
Yeah.
This could be in your future here. I mean, look
think-
at this. Look at that. He's getting flipping it. I mean, this is precision cooking right here.
You're selling me,
What do
man.
you say roadshow, Coop? Next time when the Patriots are in New York, what do you say?
I say we do it. Nick, sign us up. We're coming out there.
Got a little tailgate over here, but here you go. Little plug for these guys here. Away game tailgate. Check them out. Well, we got a little family-friendly, more focused one over here. Not quite the size of the grill. It's a little different. You saw those two massive grills. This one, just a little smaller, but still gets the job done. Gentlemen, you're live. We're here, Bettor Sports Network, with you guys. Tell us your names and where you're from.
That's what my wife said. It's small, but it gets the job done. I don't know. Salmonardi, Brooklyn, New York.
How you doing?
Steve Monahan, Brooklyn.
Mike, Brooklyn.
There you go.
Guys, how excited are you today to be here at my stadium for the first time in a long time, coming here after a win to enjoy your little tailgate?
Always exciting to be here. We bring the tailgate out, but this is really nice. Pumped. They're moving. I hope this is a good start, and fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right, so what's on the menu today?
We have a whole bunch of Italian specialties from Paecos, Brooklyn. Seriously, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And we got some pulled pork as well. So we
Pulled
got
pork.
Carolina,
Loving the pulled
right?
pork.
A little pulled pork with the Carolina aspect of it, and we got some Carolina Reaper hot sauce to go with it. And you start back around 12 o'clock. We play LCR, big group.
All right,
Party.
left, right, center,
Enjoy
big
it.
time
Theme.
Italians, and we got some future NFL background. The kids are playing.
I was gonna say, go run some routes with them, Nick. You know.
Yeah, get out there, make a play.
Absolutely. So here we go. We got some big fans here. We're live on the Bettor Sports Network. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
Who's your favorite player on the Giants?
Probably Saquon Barkley.
Saquon
Yeah,
Barkley. I'm sure yours
Saquon's
is
the
Saquon,
bastard.
right? Who's your favorite player?
I don't know.
Anybody. All right. How about you? Any favorite player? Saquon Barkley. Four big Saquon fans. Monster in fantasy last week. Could be RB1 this season. Let's see it. Let's see it toss one long. Ready? Hut, hike.
Take the play.
Got him.
All right. Overthrown.
Yeah, Denver Jones,
Overthrown.
you know. It's fine.
Just like Russell Wilson on Monday Night Football. That's going to do it for now, guys. We'll be checking back in with you later on. I'm hungry, so maybe I'll get some of that food. And I know you guys are going to be hungry too.
All right, Nick. We'll
Yes,
check
sir.
back with
Thank
you in a
you,
little
Nick,
bit.
dude.
Have fun out there.
Cheers, brother. We
That
got
looks
boots
like a
on the
blast,
ground.
you know?
Boots on the
Yeah.
ground out there, baby. Yeah.
Nothing
We
better
gotta-
than nothing better than a little football tailgate in the morning, right? There's no time too early when you're tailgating to fire up the grill, get a little hot dog, sausage, hamburger, steak tips, whatever you like going out there. So
rules are
yeah,
off.
listen.
When you're tailgating, the rules are off, dude. I say, 10 o'clock, burger, maybe a beer. It's allowed because it's football, right?
Yeah, and it's a great transition because he is at MetLife, and we have the Carolina Panthers facing the New York Giants today. The Giants, 2.5-point home favorites. How often are we seeing a Giants team not only 1-0, but also a favorite at home? 42.5 game total here. Obviously, Baker Mayfield is probably a big contributing factor to the Panthers being an underdog. I'm not a Baker Mayfield hater for no reason. He's a trash quarterback. But they do have Christian McCaffrey, who last week saved a lot of fantasy managers with his touchdown. Maybe they'll work to get him going a little bit more. Robbie Anderson had that 75-yard touchdown catch. I know many people are high on DJ Moore coming into the season. But hey, listen, I think the biggest story from last week between these two teams is obviously Saquon Barkley looking healthy, looking fast, and a big part of this offense.
Looking good, man. He looked great. I mean, this is the premier running back matchup here with CMC and the Giants. And I have to say, like, both those New York teams had great drafts this year. I thought those two teams had the best drafts of any teams, and it can turn things around quick. Also helps that they have Brian Daboll in there calling the plays. So this should be an interesting game to get some answers on some wide receivers, really, because as of now, it's hard to trust anybody, even DJ Moore, probably the most trustworthy of the group, but I don't know if I'm super excited about it. You know what I mean? I think Baker's part of it. I mean, and then of course, Kenny Galladay's had his issues. Sterling Shepard looked pretty good coming back. Kadarius Toney doesn't even play. So anybody out there, you can't trust.
Tony's do you think Toney has a phantom injury, or do you think he's just like, this is just the cat and mouse game that they're playing, right? He's like, oh, you guys won't play me last week. Well, now my hamstring hurts a little bit, like what's the situation do you think going on there?
Could be a little sketchy. I mean, if you start hearing the trade rumors swirling around, then you know that this hamstring is probably okay.
Listen, if you listen to the Fantasy Alarm Week 1 preview podcast, Coop and I told you to have some eyes on Sterling Shepard with him being active. We talked about his target rate when healthy in this matchup with Daniel Jones. I wrote an article earlier this week, waiver wire spotlight on Sterling Shepard, told you just the type of impact he's had when healthy and matched up with Daniel Jones. He has like a 25% target rate when he's on the field and healthy. And now he's looking like maybe the number 1 wide receiver this week. Because, again, we don't know what Kenny Golladay is going to be doing. We know that Saquon Barkley is going to be pretty heavily involved in this team's passing offense as well. But Sterling Shepard is a playmaker. He had a big 65-yard catch last week, and him and Daniel Jones just kind of know where to go together. So if Sterling Shepard's still floating on your waiver wire, definitely go and pick him up. In DFS this week, he's under $5,000 on DraftKings. I don't mind that in a full PPR. It's a pretty good spot, I think, to get some Sterling Shepard in your lineups because this could be the last week he's healthy. We don't know, right? So get him in while you can because there's going to be some production that falls.
Last year he had games he only played like 7 games, and a couple of those he got hurt and left. Right. So he really only played 5 full games. But in those games, he had 7, 9, 10, and 14 targets. Who the heck else is getting 14 targets, right? Like nobody. And he just came out and he had a monster touchdown last week. So looks like the Achilles is, he's at least ready to play. So he's a guy. Right? I'm any full PPR, I'm getting him on the bench. Sure.
Yeah, and people weren't worried about the Achilles injury because we've seen some players struggle coming back from it. Cam Akers not look very good. James Robinson looked good. Sterling Shepard looked good. And you've brought up stats before, that court players have come back and had successful seasons off of the torn Achilles. So
better history with wide receivers. Better history with wide receivers than running backs. I mean, Demaryius Thomas tore his Achilles, then he came out and had 4 seasons in a row with over 1,300 yards. One of them he had like 1,600. So it's wide receivers seem to have a better track record than running backs, and that makes a lot of sense because the movements are a little different with those two positions.
Yep, definitely. Next matchup here on the board, we have the New England Patriots going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Later on in the show, we're going to be talking to Alex Barth of 98.5thesportshub.com. Covers New England Patriots football. Obviously, Coop and I, Patriots fans. So we're going to have some questions for him, certainly, when it comes to this spot. Let's get to the questions here first, Coop, because we do have a few people asking us about this matchup. We have Najee Harris or Chase Edmonds as a running back.
Yeah, I mean, if Najee's good to go, I just can't. He's one of those can't bench guys. He to me, he's in that tier, or he's getting into that tier with like maybe not Saquon and CMC, but at least with like Dalvin and Mixon, where his usage and his ability, especially in the pass game, I can't turn that down for a guy like Chase Edmonds, who didn't really show much. Raheem Mostert played a bit last week too. So I think if Najee's going, I'm going with Najee. I don't know, John. Are you scared? It is tough.
Patriots run defense did well against Edmonds and Mostert last week, but they did give up some plays in the passing game, which we know Harris is capable of doing. My problem with Najee Harris is he's not 100% healthy, right? That foot, ankle, whatever he's dealing with is still a problem for him. And even though he caught a touchdown or had a touchdown last week, I wonder if you go up against the Patriots Belichick defense that has been good against the run, if that's going to be sustainable or not. We have a question in chat, or not questions, comments. What quarter does Mac Jones get benched? He's not going to get benched. They're not going to put Brian Horton. Mac Jones only gets benched if he gets hurt.
That's Tommy, dude. Yeah. Guards, please remove Tommy from the chat. He's getting out of control. We need him out of here. Mac Jones is a angel. Okay.
Mac Jones is also not a terrible quarterback. The team has just done little to help him. Again, even the wide receiver investments. We were happy. We were high on Devontae Parker. Basically, no shows. Really tough matchup for him last week. Tough matchup for him this week. Is he going to be able to get separation? Who knows? We're expecting Bourne to be more involved after some of the reports earlier this week that Robert Kraft wondered why Bourne wasn't being involved in last week's game plan. Reports were that he was being sort of punished for being late to a team meeting, and Kraft said, I don't know. I'd rather see him on the field. So we'll see if that happens today, if he gets more available for this matchup. But I think an interesting thing from a DFS perspective here, Coop, is if you play on FanDuel, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the highest priced defense on FanDuel. If you play on DraftKings, they're in the middle tier. So somebody's going to be right here today. Either the Steelers are going to be the number one defense in fantasy, like they're priced up on FanDuel, or they're going to be a good but middling price defense as they are on DraftKings. Would you play the Steelers defense today against New England?
I think I would. Quarterback's hurt, but I would obviously play it on the platform where I get the discount, right? So
Right.
we look at all the time you see these, and it's because FanDuel is half PPR, DraftKings is full PPR, but PPR doesn't matter with defense. That discrepancy is very odd to me. Also, just want to in the chat, Mr. Scampers, what's up? Albert, what's up? Those guys. See you guys all weekday. Love seeing you guys here on Sunday morning, dude. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. And again, for anyone just joining, two things. One, we see your questions. We're going to get to them when we get to the games that are applicable. So as soon as the game comes up where one of your players is involved, we'll hit on it. So stick with us. We're going to get to those. The other, if you want to skip a line, call in. We'll put you on air. We love interacting, and it's our show. We can do whatever we want. So if you call in, either video or call, and you want your question answered right now, we'll put you on and you can ask it. So that's how you skip the line out here. Otherwise, it's going to be when we get to the games, we'll get to your questions.
Yep. Yeah. And questions are coming in quick here, Coop, today. So we're going to have a lot to get to as we break down these games. Are you playing anybody in New England when it comes to their running back situation here?
Yeah, I am, because so the way it works with it's a split backfield, right? And you had Damian Harris being backed up by Ramondre Stevenson. Then you had Ty Montgomery in the James White role. Now he's out. So somebody needs to step into that role, whether it's Ramondre Stevenson or whether it's Pierre Strong. Somebody's going to have to play that pass catching role. But here's the thing for me. Damian Harris is even more solidified in his running role. And if this team, Mac Jones, is banged up, they're going to have to lean on the run. So I am confident with Damian Harris, especially in standard or half PPR, that he can at least be an RB2. In every league I'm in, you need at least two running backs, right? So Damian Harris is a guy I'm confident about.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Harris is going to go well. And today's a find out day, right? Today we find out who is that pass catching running back in New England. If you want to take the chance in DFS and see if you can get going, that's fine. You can go ahead and pick, take a shot on Ramondre or Harris and see who's going to be that pass catching back, and to see what's going on. So, Coop, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to have a jersey giveaway today. That is coming up shortly. Only way to win that jersey is to go into the App Store, download the Bettor Sports app, subscribe, click join show, and when I give you the call to call in, one of the lucky callers will be winning an autographed jersey for today's show. And it's not just us today. We got a big day throughout on the coverage here of Bettor Sports Network. We have the Front Yard Fantasy crew from 11 to 1 with Simon, Joey, and Joey L. From 1 to 5 today, we have Better Zone with Corey, Adam, and Tom, just working with you guys throughout the day to cover everything that's happening today in the NFL during the day with watching your fantasy teams hopefully thrive, Coop. So it's going to be a big day on the network. We have a game coming up with a lot of questions being asked of it. That is the Atlanta Falcons against the LA Rams here. What are your thoughts on this one? A 10.5 point spread for the Rams as home favorites, 47.5 game total. Couple questions we have today: Matt Stafford or Kyler Murray?
So I'm starting Kyler Murray. Stafford has the elbow. He didn't look great last week, and Kyler Murray has the rushing upside. So especially if it's a 4-point passing league, you have to go Kyler Murray. In a 6-point passing league, it's probably a little closer, but I'm still going Murray. There's that mobility. It's huge. It gives you such a good floor. That's what a lot of people think about the ceiling, but the floor of a guy that's running 5 to 10 times, I mean, that's 5 points usually, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then we have Darrell Henderson or Rashad Bateman at flex in a full PPR league.
So me, I'm starting. Me as a massive Bateman fan would start Darrell Henderson just because Cam Akers didn't even play. He played 50 snaps. Cam Akers played 12. So, and especially in a game against the Falcons where they're favored by 10, that is a game where they're going to be running the ball a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if they used both Henderson and Akers, but Henderson obviously started, and he should be a pretty safe start here. I do like Bateman a lot. I wish there was a way you could get them both in your lineup, but if I had to pick one, go with the RB and in the flex. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go as well. I think that's how you should approach this, Henderson. I think this is a game where they get 10.5 point total, right? They get a big lead. They just run the clock out. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. This could be a pretty big Henderson day. Henderson is expected to be a pretty big chalk play in DFS. We have good chalk, bad chalk segment coming up a little bit later. we'll talk about Darrell Henderson and whether or not we're buying into the high rostership expectations of Darrell Henderson today against Atlanta. Coop, what do you got?
I got a sneaky DFS play from this game. With Van Jefferson still out, the Rams love running 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. Ben Skowronek got all those Van Jefferson snaps, and he is once again going to get a huge snap share. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him, and I don't think they realize the opportunity of being the 3rd wide receiver but playing the whole game. Like, that's the difference between Tyler Boyd and Ben Skowronek, is that Boyd comes out for 2 wide receiver sets. The Rams ran 3 wide receiver sets 88+% of the snaps last year. So Ben Skowronek's probably in for a big role.
Yep, I agree with you there. Quickly, question here. Should he drop George Pickens for Julio Jones? I would. Riley in chat had that question. We asked you guys to call in. We have somebody here online with a question today. Let's bring him on. Work and Grind joining the show here. What's going on? How can Coop and I help you today?
That might take a second.
Well, I was wondering if you think Julio Jones is ready to get out there and work and grind.
Hey.
Look into one of those ND wide receivers.
Yeah,
I think Julio's in a spot today with Godwin out. He's a game time decision, so you got to watch obviously the injury status there with Julio. But if he's active, he's had a lot of career success in this matchup against the Saints, and he's probably not drawing the Lattimore coverage. It's probably going to be Evans, so could be even a more favorable spot for him today. What do you think, Coop?
What are the other pivot options? Work.
He said the Indy receiver, so it'd be
like Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell.
Oh, Ashton Doolin, Paris. Now you got to go Julio, man. Go with the big dog. He looked good last week. Got a couple carries. Paris Campbell, hasn't been able to stay healthy. We haven't really seen enough out of him for me to trust him. And who knows who's going to get those targets? Could be Kylan Granson. Could be Michael Strachan there. It's not set in stone. So I think if Julio's active, rock him, man. Get him out there, dude. And thank you for jumping on, tuning in. I know I see your name in the chat all the time during the week as well, man. So I really appreciate you coming on and joining the show with us, man.
I appreciate you guys. You got a great thing going on here.
Cheers, brother.
Awesome. Thank you again for calling. And again, if you want to get your questions answered live with Coop and I, you got to download the app. Go to your app store, download the Bettor Sports Network app, hit subscribe and hit join show, and you can have your question answered
cut
live
the line,
on
right?
air. You can also enter your questions into our chat. Coop and I will get to them as we come across the game here. Other big game on the schedule here, Coop. Cincinnati Bengals going into Dallas to face the Cowboys. Cowboys are 7.5-point home underdogs, 43.5 game total. Obviously, no Dak Prescott here dealing with the hand surgery. Cooper Rush is going to be the quarterback. Now, last season, if you remember, Coop, Dak Prescott was a surprise inactive with an injury. Cooper Rush came in on prime time and beat the Minnesota Vikings, throwing for 340 yards. Do you think Cooper Rush is capable of putting forth another performance and maybe surprising everybody? Because the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be the highest roster defense in DFS this week. On DraftKings, they're just $2,200. Near mint price defense over on DraftKings because they released the pricing way before the news comes out. And then they're obviously a cheap defense over on FanDuel. So what are your thoughts here on this Cincy-Dallas matchup?
Yeah, man. The thing with Cooper Rush is that I think he's competent enough. I think I would potentially put him in the Case Keenum class of guy that can come in and do the bare minimum, right? So I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's getting all crazy and throwing a bunch of picks and being like a gunslinger. Like sometimes you bring in the backup and he's like you bring in Gardner Minshew, he's either throwing 3 touchdown passes or 3 picks, right? Like he's that kind of player. I think Cooper Rush is going to toe the company line, right? Hand it to Zeke, hand it to Pollard. Try not to throw picks. I looked up his stats, limited sample size, but the number 1 target he had was Amari Cooper, 13 targets. He's gone. Number 2 was
CeeDee Lamb had over 100 yards.
Yeah, with 10. And then just historically speaking, and then of course he likes Dalton Schultz as well. So I think if you have Lamb and Schultz, you need to have some serious high-end options to not start those guys, especially for Schultz, which the Bengals are a good tight end matchup. So I'm still starting Schultz. I'm still starting Lamb. I'm still starting Zeke. Tony Pollard, you gotta see what else you have before you go with a guy like that. But he did play a little more than normal. And we do have some questions on this one, John. If you wanna hit on these guys.
Yeah, we got start 2: T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Mike Thomas today.
For me, I'm starting T. Higgins and Michael Thomas. Amon-Ra St. Brown is fine in a full PPR league, but you got to remember he's not going to get 12 targets every week, and he needed 12 targets to get 64 yards last week. And the same was true last year. He had games like a 12 target game where he had 80 yards last year. He's a very low ADOT, not particularly fast guy, so he needs to be peppered. Whereas T. Higgins and Mike Thomas can do more with less. So I like those two. I don't know, John. Are you going with the safe Amon-Ra or the upside play?
My one issue with Higgins, normally I'm all in, obviously, in the Bengals pass attack, and it could come through again today. They could just throw to this big lead. Higgins could be the guy that gets it done. And then all of a sudden, they go to the ground game. I know Howard Bender is big on Mixon today, running the football. I like that as well. They get into a lead. They just run the football out. I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown and Mike Thomas today for me. I believe a lot in Michael Thomas. He looked great last week. In the second half of that game, that offense finally started clicking. Jarvis Landry went nuclear. Michael Thomas had 5 for 57 and 2 scores. And again, I like the Saints being at home versus a Tampa Bay team that had last year struggled a bit on the road. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, we're just looking at a high game total, right? It's almost 50 points, close game. You can't argue the target share, right? So the double-digit targets could certainly find his way again. And he did get into the end zone. And I don't mind low ADOT players when they're in the red zone because he doesn't have to run far to get the touchdown. So if he can get open, that's an important part. So other question we have here, we have Julio Jones and Tyler Boyd. I think we touched on this one earlier, but we want Julio Jones and Tyler Boyd with T. Higgins active. And then we have Damian Pierce or Tony Pollard for today. What are your thoughts, Coop?
Yeah, Dropkicks knows how to do it. We're going to get to your questions when we get to a game where the player's involved. So if we're talking about a game right now and you got a player, throw it in there. So right as we're talking about the Cowboys, Dropkicks comes in, Damian Pierce or Tony Pollard, I'm starting Tony Pollard because Damian Pierce he played like a 29% snap share or so. Rex Burkhead got 70% of the snaps. Tony Pollard actually split the snaps evenly with Zeke, pretty evenly. So I like Pollard in that situation because I can trust him to at least get half the work in a Kareem Hunt style role with, Damian Pierce. For me at this point, he's got to be in like the Boston Scott type range, right? Where he's only coming in. You're hoping he scores a random touchdown. So Pollard for me, John.
It's not the best matchup either, right? They're big underdogs on the road against Denver at home. Like this feels like, even though they say they want to work him in more, it feels like another Rex Burkhead day. So while it may not be 70-30, if they're going to be trailing, they're going to be wanting Rex Burkhead out there and not Damian Pierce. So that's a matchup there between Cincy and Dallas. Again, guys, we're giving away a jersey, and we're going to be giving away that jersey right now. So if you want an opportunity to win an autographed jersey, you got to download the app. You got to subscribe. You got to join. You got to dial in. We're going to be giving away a jersey to the caller when we come back from break. I don't even know what the jersey is, Coop. So this is exciting. Last week we gave away an autographed Tyreek Hill jersey, Miami Dolphin Tyreek Hill jersey. So call in now. We're going to give it away to a one lucky caller today. When Coop and I get back, we'll give that away. We'll do some chalk talk. We'll recap the top stories of the day. This is the Game Day Playbook on the Bettor Sports Network.
The Game Day Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
First rule of negotiating, you got to have something to bargain with.
I feel like when it comes to trading in fantasy sports, there's too much emphasis and focus on getting the best player in the deal. It does not work like that. If you could get a player that secures you some depth, fills a hole, then you win. More than one person in a trade can win. But people just obsess, and then bad offers come where it's totally stacked. Like those crappy offers, Ron, where, yeah, you're getting the best player in the deal, but you're offering 5 other fringe players, thinking that combined they make up for that. Who deals with that crap? I see those trades, Ron, and when I'm seeing a 3-for-1, 4-for-1, 4-for-2, you know that you're getting someone's leftovers at this point for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, usually they're trying to give you a bunch of players to make it seem like they're giving you surplus and quantity instead of quality. So got to be careful with that. And, you could technically lose a deal on paper, but it helps your team improve. And that's always what you're trying to do. Everyone's looking to tell everyone, oh, look what I did. I ripped this guy off. It's about improving your team. If you have two really good quarterbacks, it's hard to trade a quarterback. Now, what I would do is if I somehow made a foolish mistake of drafting 2 quarterbacks in the first 10 rounds, or even the first 7 rounds, what I've seen many people do, and they're 2 good ones, is I look and be like, okay, does the Dak Prescott manager have a backup? Maybe he does it. Then I do all I can to trade. Now, you're probably not going to get proper return, because if that guy with Prescott is smart, he'd be like, well, why am I going to trade a receiver or running back? Can just go to the waiver wire, pick up Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, whoever it is. So that's the reason why that's a situation where you might lose the deal, but you're holding on to a guy that you can't really start most weeks. So you might as well make the deal. So you technically might be losing, thinking like, wow, I'm trading a QB1, but it's not doing much good for you on the bench. And if you're like, well, I'm just keeping this guy in case Josh Allen gets hurt, well, you're playing scared, and that's not a way to win.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
They get off to Taylor. Taylor hit, but he bounces into the end zone. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! Jonathan Taylor.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's sport with Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody. Game Day Playbook here on the Bettor Sports Network. Jonathan with Andrew Cooper. We said before, we're going to be giving away a autographed jersey right now. Coop, before we go to it, let's break down the top news stories of the day. Again, some big names ruled out. Alvin Kamara out. Chris Godwin out. Michael Pittman out. You got word that George Kittle unlikely to play today as well. We're waiting on status updates on Mike Evans. We're expecting him to play. Julio Jones is a game time decision. So as we continue to get the news throughout the day, we'll certainly be here to break it down for you. What else we got, Coop? You're muted, Coop. You're muted. Back to, gotta hit the button.
We're back. Yeah, on the weekday show, we've been doing that a bunch. So we're actually gonna have these red clown noses, and if you mute yourself by accident, you got to wear it till the next segment. So that's I got to get better at that. So Ray, I just got this. I'm not sure how true this is, but it is coming from Adam Schefter that the Ravens continue to exercise caution with RB J.K. Dobbins and do not plan to play him today versus the Dolphins. So get your Kenyon Drake questions in the chat now, because it looks like, I mean, the thing is, we can only report what's being reported to us at 11:30. Make sure you tune in. The official inactives will be out. Simon and JL on the Front Yard Fantasy Show next. We'll hit the official inactives at 11:30. So, but when it comes from Adam Schefter, that's pretty much gold.
I was gonna say that's Bible right there from Shefty. So that's pretty crazy. Dobbins can't be happy with that news, because he's been talking about getting ready to play. We talked about how bad Mike Davis looked last week. So definitely Kenyon Drake. Tough matchup, though. Again, going up against Miami, but maybe a little revenge play, a little revenge narrative. So that's top stories of the day so far. Again, as more injury news breaks, we'll have it here for you. But as I said, we are giving away an autographed jersey. We have our winner. Double D, congratulations. You have taken home an autographed jersey. I'm excited to see what it is. So why don't we bring Double D on here and let's take a look at what jersey they will be taking home.
I know this guy. Hopefully it's a Broncos jersey, though he already has plenty of Broncos gear over there. What's up, Dan? How we doing, brother?
He's doing great. Good morning.
Morning.
Man. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, man. Congratulations on your jersey win. Let's see what you got.
Yeah. I know Dan's been trying to get in and get a jersey all week, and you just missed that Cortland Sutton one the other day. So let's hope you get a Broncos one. Ricky Williams, baby. Yes, dude.
Congratulations, Dan. Autograph Ricky Williams jersey heading to you, sir.
How you feeling?
That's awesome. I love it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining in, man.
Yeah. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Cool. What's with the run of Miami Dolphins giveaways for us, huh? We've back-to-back weeks. We've given away an autographed Tyreek Hill jersey, now an autographed Ricky Williams jersey. Don't the producers know we're Patriots fans? Why are we giving away all of these Miami Dolphins gear?
I don't know. Maybe it's a prank, dude. Maybe next week we'll start getting the Jets jerseys in. But dude, the thing is, like, even though we're Patriots fans, like I would still put the Ricky Williams jersey up on the wall. That's
Yeah, you have
that's a
to.
sick jersey to get. Yeah, he's a legend. Tyreek Hill, I don't know if I could do it because he's active player and he's also Tyreek Hill. That one might be where I draw the line. But again, that's a great jersey to get. And the thing is, even if you're not a fan of that team, like it's an autographed jersey. You can go and throw that up on eBay and get whichever one you want. It's like
are you advising that we resell the prize winning jerseys, Coop? Is that what you're doing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe you're in a group chat with a Dolphins fan. You want to go ahead and work out a swap with somebody, right?
We've been giving away so many. We could probably organize I think we've probably given away what box break number was that, like 70 something? We could probably organize a swap amongst our own crew here.
That's true. We got to get like a Discord going, maybe, a Bettor Sports Discord with a giveaways channel, and everybody who wins a giveaway prize can do their own wheeling and dealing if they feel so up for it. So you mentioned get your Kenyon Drake questions in. We do have one. Brendan O'Connell, Rex Burkhead, or Kenyon Drake today?
Kevin O'Connell, what was it?
Rex Burkhead or Kenyon Drake?
Rex Burkhead or Kenyon Drake. I think I'm starting Kenyon Drake, man. He played 33 snaps, and that was in his first game there. They used him pretty much as the primary guy. He played more pass snaps, more run snaps than any other back on the team. He pretty much got all the carries. He dominated the carries. The question is whether you think that Lamar Jackson will vulture the touchdowns, and he will, but I mean, are the Texans going to score all that many touchdowns? They're the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I worry about too. Though, that Broncos defense looked a little susceptible last week to the Seahawks for a little bit, led by Geno Smith there. We got Drake or Julio Jones from Work and Grind in the chat.
Yeah, the Julio questions I knew would come in. I think I would start Drake. The Drake questions I knew would come in. I think I would start Drake. Julio, they said they're going to work him out live on the field and see if he's going to play or not. The good news is that game is at least a 1:00 game. Sometimes with the 4:00 games, it's a nightmare when you're waiting to see if the guy can run around on the field. You have to make those decisions early. I'm just going to start Drake, I think.
Yeah, you got to go with the lead running back. He looked good, and the fact that there really is no true competition to him, I think bodes well for him in that offense. So back to some of the games that we're taking a look at here, Coop. We talked about Houston with the Rex Burkhead question. Houston, Denver given 9.5. It's a 45.5 game total. What are your thoughts on this one? We got a couple of questions. One of them, Jerry Jeudy, Adam Thielen, or Gabriel Davis in a half PPR.
Jerry Jeudy, Adam Thielen, or Gabe Davis at half PPR. Adam Thielen and Gabe Davis are at this point are virtually the same dude. They're like the second target on their team. They play nearly 100% of the snaps. They both ran almost 100% of the routes, and you're just hoping they can keep up their production as high touchdown number guys. As crazy as much as it pains me, I think I do have Gabe Davis over Adam Thielen at this point, just because he's younger. He's getting a more explosive offense. But Thielen is always a threat to score. If this were full PPR, I might go Jeudy, but I think I'm going to start Gabe Davis here. What do you think, John?
So one thing is with Davis, here's the problem, right? And I guess you have the benefit of Thielen also playing at the same time. Is Davis popped up on the injury report, right? Now he's dealing with I think it was an ankle injury that has him currently questionable for Monday's game. So, at least if you start Davis or Thielen and one of them is out or Davis is out, you pop in Thielen. I love Jerry Jeudy. So if you want the safe, sure play, it's Jeudy. And then if you want to wait on Davis and he doesn't play, you play Thielen. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching this one.
I think that's the way to do it. I did not realize the severity of the injury, but he actually missed practice.
Yeah.
So that means he got hurt in practice. Ankle sprain in practice. Yeah. And this is coming from a guy I trust. I got physical therapist, Jeff Mueller on Twitter said, ankle sprain, missed practice late. If you have a strong pivot, I would go that way. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Isaiah McKenzie stand up. Maybe Jamison Crowder, Jake Kumerow, Dawson Knox coming alive.
The thing about that touchdown Gabe Davis scored last week is that's the RPO, that RPO play where they like fake the lineman going downfield and suck in all the linebackers, and anyone could have scored that. That could have been Dawson Knox. That could have been, you know what I mean? Like it's like the shovel pass with Kansas City. Anyone can score that touchdown.
Your haterade for Gabriel Davis never ceases to exist, which is fine. I've called Baker Mayfield a horrible quarterback 25 times in the stream today.
I'm allowed to.
I
go
stand
on the
by it.
couple of
You're allowed to. So far, you've gone against Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gabe Davis. You're staying on brand. Totally.
Well, I picked Gabe Davis in this one. I picked Gabe Davis until you said he had a sprained ankle. Then
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
fair.
yeah. So I would
That's fair.
I would probably go Judy, right? That's where we're at. Or
Yeah, Judy. I think Judy from the safe play, or if you're willing to wait on Davis, you go Thielen. But I like Judy a lot here as well. And we've talked about Pierce or Burkhead already. We're going to go. We said Burke. Did we say Burkhead? Pierce or Burkhead? You got to play. I think I'm playing Burkhead.
I'm playing Burkhead. Burkhead played way more than Pierce. You can't start.
Yeah.
ADP is gone now. ADP
Yeah.
is over. All the fantasy drafts are over, right? So it's Rex Burkhead. He played more. He played 70% of the snaps. Can't go with Pierce.
Yep.
Especially because Burkhead does the pass work, and this team is not good. So like the whoever is better at catching passes is going to be playing more realistically, right?
Yep. Najee Harris. Jorge is asking, considering sitting Najee Harris today, he has Melvin Gordon or Breece Hall. Would you play either of those?
Oof, boy. So if you really are looking at the reports and you don't like Najee, then I would go with that is a doozy. Man, that is so close. So Melvin is the conservative play. Breece Hall is the upside play. Is this full PPR? Did he mention if it was full or half PPR?
The question's getting. I can't see the rest of the question, so
Okay,
we'll see.
Yeah, if it's full PPR, go with Breece Hall. If it's half PPR, maybe Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. I'm very curious how that's going to end up working today with if Denver gets out to the big lead, because people have been debating whether or not to go with Javonte because he had such a big workload in the passing game, and that's probably not going to be there again in this game. But does he run it out? Does he get 20 carries for 120 yards because he's the guy running out the clock? Or do they give the veteran the sort of, garbage time carries, save Javonte, and Gordon gets that work? So that's a pretty interesting situation to pay attention to, especially given the way that game played out.
Yeah, I think there's just no reason to overdo it with either guy. Like if you're going to run the ball 35 times, there's no reason for one guy to get 25 and the other to get 10. It's just Melvin Gordon is good enough that he should be getting just under half of the touches. So if there's 30 touches, you should give Javonte 18 and give at least 12 to Melvin, right?
Yep.
So like I don't see there's no reason to run one guy in the ground when you have two.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ann in the chat has a question here. Ann, thank you for joining us there today. She has Gabe Davis. She wants to know, does she wait for the Gabe Davis status? And if he's out, start Treylon Burks against Buffalo, or do you start Cam Akers or Devin Duvernay instead?
Like you can't start Cam Akers. You can't start Treylon Burks is the other option.
Yeah, Treylon Burks versus Buffalo, or Devin Duvernay coming off of his low target, high touchdown production.
Yeah, I can't trust Duvernay either. He didn't even play half the snaps. I think I'm just going. I think I'm gonna just wait on Gabe Davis and start see if you can. I would wait on Gabe Davis, and if Gabe Davis is out, try and start an Isaiah McKenzie or something. But I'm willing to hold off.
I would rather risk Treylon Burks, I think, than a Duvernay or an Akers. So that's kind of how it would go. Plus, again, we're expecting Buffalo to be up big on this one. I think it's a double-digit spread, so they're going to have to throw. That's kind of how I look at it. Timothy Chan in chat wants to know Jerry Jeudy, Kareem Hunt, and Cordell Patterson. He's got a bench one in a full PPR.
I bench Hunt because go for the upside. Put Patterson, even though it's not a good matchup, he's the full-time starting running back. Kareem Hunt is a half. The snaps broke down exactly how we thought last week, right? Like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt split down the middle. Chubb got more run work. Hunt got more pass work. I think this week versus the Jets is going to be a Chubb game, not a Hunt game, right?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Next game we have here, we have the Arizona Cardinals versus the Las Vegas Raiders. 51.5 game total of 5.5 spread. Andy Isabella and Rondale Moore already ruled out for Arizona, which means we got Hollywood Brown, we got Greg Dortch again, and we have Zach Ertz in this one against the Raiders. Devontae Adams, 17 targets last week. What are your thoughts here in this matchup?
Devontae Adams with the killer targets. Hey, I will say Devontae Adams is who we thought he was, which is excellent, right? Congrats to everyone who went out and got him in Dynasty. I was moving him up in Dynasty because he came out and he was like, I'm not in, he's like, no offense to Jordan Love, but I want to play for a long time, leave a lasting legacy. I know Aaron's only going to play a couple years. I'm going to hang out with my buddy. Like, I think Devontae Adams could be good for another 5 years. And I will say this, Darren Waller had, when you look at the behind the scenes numbers, he had the best usage he's had in years. All these other guys, all these other coaches were using him in line, like a regular tight end, not ideal. This week he played 90% of his pass snaps at a wide receiver role and was running over 80% of the routes. Like, Darren Waller is in the perfect spot. If he can stay ahead of Hunter Renfrow on that target pecking order, he should once again be a top 5 tight end in my mind. And Kyle Pitts, kind of the opposite. Arthur Smith came out and used him in line, had him block on 20% of the pass plays. It's like these dudes like switched bodies for this season, the usage wise, right? Like, so be careful with Kyle Pitts. I actually moved Waller ahead of Pitts already in my rankings. I just, I know it's 1 week, but geez, blocking on 20% of your snaps for Pitts.
I mean, listen, that wasn't one of the reasons I was worried about Pitts. It was the fact that Marcus Mariota was his quarterback. But at least after week 1, I know that there are certainly some managers that are panicking. We have Nick back with us at MetLife, boots on the ground, talking to the fans out there, Giants fans in their matchup against Carolina today. Nick, man, how are you? How's it out there?
What's up, guys?
It takes
I'm
a
back.
second for it to get up.
Just walking around here. It's pretty crazy. There's a Giants ambulance here. So
wow.
I don't know if that's to pick up injured Giants or hopefully for the Panthers. But the tailgates out here right now are crazy. We'll walk around here, give you a little look at some of these crazy things. Everybody's got big tents and stuff. The grills are going.
This gets me fired up.
Cars coming in.
Filling up since the last time we talked to you, Nick. A lot of people are starting to roll in.
Yeah, here's one of the most important parts of a tailgate.
Sure. Porta potties.
Porta potties. Here we got this guy straight from Bermuda. Here he is. He's going to the porta potty. He's excited to. But we're walking over here to an extreme tailgate, making my way. And if you could see here, they have a little school bus, giant school bus, getting a little closer here, as you can see. But this is an extreme tailgate here.
They don't mess around. They don't mess around, huh? They're bringing the whole bus out. They're bringing the whole army out.
Whole army. Going over to the grill. Here's the grill master. What's up? What's your name? Tommy. Tommy, where you from? Staten Island, New York. There we go.
Come on, Tommy.
What do we got on the grill here?
We got some pork kebabs. We got some beef kebabs.
Oh my God, that looks
We got 10
good.
pounds of
Look at this.
Wow.
We got
Unbelievable. The sausage, the hamburgers. I mean, it's incredible here. This tailgate's insane.
Wow.
We got macaroni, meatballs, sausage and peppers, chicken rollatini. It's all out there. Full open bar. Blue bus, Staten Island, New York.
There we go. The bus is here. It's packed. I mean, this tailgate is bumping here. You would think the Giants are good for a change.
They might be. They might be good.
It might be good. So plenty of people here. You got the, if you can see, there's a Thibodeau jersey back there. Hopefully he makes his debut at some point. But it should be electric. The fans here, they're all pumped up. And, there's some Panthers fans here, but they're a little near and far right now. Perhaps they're worried about, coming out here and seeing Baker Mayfield and the boys lay a goose egg or something.
I would be.
With the way
Baker
the
Mayfield's
Giants
a bad
are going to run all over
quarterback,
them.
so I would be worried about that.
Exactly. And then over here we got, people got some camper buses and stuff. They're a little camera shy. They told me they don't want to talk. In the distance here, we got it's a Ferris wheel in the background. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. Yeah. But it's the mall here. But yeah, it's filling up here. Let me see. There's a few Panthers fans here. Let me walk over to them real quick. I know we got to get out of here. We got a guest, but got some Panthers fans. Somebody's wearing a Cam Newton jersey, so I don't know how that's going to be. But
that's a Patriots quarterback.
If these guys want to talk. Panthers fans. We're live on the Bettor Sports Network. Are you excited for the Panthers today? You think they're going to win?
Absolutely, man. Baker Mayfield MVP for sure.
Baker Mayfield. You think Baker Mayfield is going to play as good as Cam Newton?
Yeah. No.
All right. So we got a McCaffrey fan here. McCaffrey.
Yeah, let's go.
He's got a white claw. No laws when he's drinking claws. So he's ready to go. These guys got a little Jenga set up here.
Let's go.
So they're pumped up. We're here. We're going to be here for the rest of the morning. So if anybody is watching now and coming down, we'll be here in the park. F12. It's been great, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks,
you.
Nick. Good luck out there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good luck, brother. Yeah, White Claw, dude. So much more than just a breakfast drink.
Yeah. Listen, who needs food, right? You got the claws there to fill you up. So
the claws are out. The Panthers fans have the claws out, dog.
Right,
look out.
Exactly. Go find Nick out there, F12 over at MetLife Stadium. You can join the rest of the show all day with the Bettor Sports Network. Right, we got 11 to 1. We got the Front Yard Fantasy crew from 1 to 5. We have Bettor Zone, Corey, Adam, and Tom. So big day here, and you got to join the show. You got to download the app. Got to go to the App Store. Download the Bettor Sports Network app, click sign up and hit join show. Submit your questions, call in, get on the show with us all day long with your coverage here to help you guys hopefully win your fantasy football league. So, Coop, again, we got a lot more to get to for today. We've touched on a couple games here. We got Seattle, San Francisco. San Francisco, 9.5-point favorite. We've been talking about the weather. We're expecting some rain. I know there's been varying reports about the severity of the rain there in San Francisco, and that obviously changes our opinions of that offense, right? If we're getting a little bit of a drier ball, a little bit of better weather out there, we're going to be, I think, a little bit higher on Trey Lance. We've had a lot of Jeff Wilson questions today. What are your thoughts on this matchup between Seattle and San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco can't catch a break with the weather. Hopefully it's good enough that we can get a good look at this team, see what it really is supposed to be. But also, if you're not going to have Kittle, then you're not really getting the look that that you need to see, because really we need to see if Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle can all be sustainable at the same time. Jeff Wilson, I'm rolling him out there. He played a ton. On the Seattle side of the ball, Rashad Penny looked pretty good. I was out on Penny. I'm in. He caught 2 receptions. People might not get excited about that, but for Rashad Penny, who's been in the league for 4 years and never had more than 10 in a season, 2 receptions is an incredible pace. Would put him on pace to triple his career high, right? 30 to 40 receptions for Rashad Penny would mean that you got a great value on him. So try and get him in there if you can. Of course, Metcalf and Lockett are guys that
getting a lot of questions obviously on this game. So bring it back to it, So
let's hit them up. What do we got?
Yeah, well, I'm just seeing a lot of questions. A lot of people general questions on Jeff Wilson today, right? Just just thoughts on him and his involvement, obviously. In the running game. Then we got a little bit of a weather update. We were expecting it to rain. And then, we're thinking maybe a little bit of less rain. So something to kind of touch upon there.
Here's my rule of thumb on both running backs from this game. I think Jeff Wilson and Rashad Penny are going to be featured backs in this game. So I'm starting him over any of the half usage backs. I'm starting over Hunt. I'm starting him over Tony Pollard. Starting him over Melvin Gordon. Anybody that you think their role is capped to half of the role, I have to go with guys that are getting the bulk of the work. So give me Penny, give me Jeff Wilson over those guys. That's just my rule of thumb on those type of players, John. I don't know if you're willing to go differently.
No, I agree with you. And Dunn wants to know Brandon Ayuk or Jarvis Landry today.
And Dunn. Shout out Ann Dunn, dude. She's family. She's been with us since this show was just on YouTube every morning. So, and we appreciate you, and we'll always be answering your questions. So for me, I'm going Jarvis Landry, man.
Yeah.
He looked like a wagon out there, right? He looked nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like that Saints offense, and they're also cheap in DFS again this week. I'm all about it. So we do have a question here. Some more throughout the chat. Again, we're getting to your questions as we hit the games. So as we come across your game, we're going to go ahead and get one. We've had someone spamming chat a little bit. We've already covered these two, so we'll go back. I'm on St. Brown to Terry McLaurin for a PPR play.
Terry McLaurin for me for sure. And yeah, so anybody just jumping in the chat, we're answering the questions as we get to the games, and then at the end we're just going to rapid fire any ones that came in late. But we see your questions, we're adding them to the sheet, and when we get to that game, we're knocking them out just so we can keep it moving, keep talking about the games and getting the questions. So
yep. Again, we're live on the Bettor Sports Network right now. So if you want to join the show, you want to call in, we have our special Bettor Sports Network chat as well. Questions flowing in here all day, answering them as they go in. You can hit the fun button with us, right, Coop? Right? Is there a fun button on the app? I know you guys have broken that quite a few times.
We have on the morning show.
We got a lot going on. When we get back, Coop, we have a special guest, Alex Barth of 98.5thesportshub.com. He's going to join in. He's going to talk about the Patriots-Steelers game today. This is the Game Day playbook on the Bettor Sports Network.
The Game Day Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
First rule of negotiating, you got to have something to bargain with.
I feel like when it comes to trading in fantasy sports, there's too much emphasis and focus on getting the best player in the deal. It does not work like that. If you could get a player that secures you some depth, fills a hole, then you win. More than one person in a trade can win. But people just obsess, and then bad offers come where it's totally stacked. Like those crappy offers, Ron, where, yeah, you're getting the best player in the deal, but you're offering 5 other fringe players, thinking that combined they make up for that. Who deals with that crap? I see those trades, Ron, and when I'm seeing a 3-for-1, 4-for-1, 4-for-2, you know that you're getting someone's leftovers at this point for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, usually they're trying to give you a bunch of players to make it seem like they're giving you surplus and quantity instead of quality. So, got to be careful with that. And, you could technically lose a deal on paper, but it helps your team improve. And that's always what you're trying to do. Everyone's looking to tell everyone, "Oh, look what I did! I ripped this guy off." It's about improving your team. If you have two really good quarterbacks, it's hard to trade a quarterback. Now, what I would do is if I somehow made a foolish mistake of drafting 2 quarterbacks in the first 10 rounds, or even the first 7 rounds, what I've seen many people do, and they're 2 good ones, is I look and be like, okay, does the Dak Prescott manager have a backup? Maybe he doesn't. Then I do all I can to trade. Now, you're probably not going to get proper return, because if that guy with Prescott is smart, he'd be like, well, why am I going to trade a receiver or running back? I can just go to the waiver wire, pick up Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, whoever it is. So that's the reason why that's a situation where you might lose the deal, but you're holding on to a guy that you can't really start most weeks. So you might as well make the deal. So you technically might be losing, thinking like, wow, I'm trading a QB1, but it's not doing much good for you on the bench. And if you're like, well, I'm just keeping this guy in case Josh Allen gets hurt, well, you're playing scared, and that's not a way to win.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Stops the right foot, takes the snap, drop it back. He's got Montgomery alone to the right. He loses his balance. He rolls into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
What's going on? Welcome back, everybody. The Game Day Playbook here on the Bettor Sports Network. Going through today's top stories. Of course, we talked about some of the big injury news of the day. Alvin Kamara ruled out. J.K. Dobbins not expected to play today for the Baltimore Ravens. We've talked about already Chris Godwin being ruled out. We've mentioned that we're waiting on news for Mike Evans expected to play, Julio Jones, a game time decision, George Kittle unlikely to suit up. Michael Pittman ruled out, and we're thinking that Alec Pierce already ruled out as well. So we got a lot going on. We're going to answer your questions as they come up. Almost through the game preview scoop, and then we'll just get to it, right? We'll start breaking down a lot of these sit questions as they're coming in. I don't know how we're working all of this right now, but what's up, Coop?
Yeah, so we're just going through the games. Anyone in the chat, for the beginning part of the show, we're going to answer any questions that come in while we hit those games. So, say you ask about TB12 or Derek Carr's coming in. Once we get to the Bucs or Raiders game, we're going to hit those questions. And then, like you said, at the end of the show, we're just going to rapid fire whatever's left. So we're going to get to your questions. I already said that. I'll go in the YouTube chat and answer any questions we miss if we do miss them there. We're going to hit all the questions, but we also got to hit on these games for people out there that are betting, people that are playing survivor pools. We got to hit everything, not just the fantasy stuff. So we're going to keep rolling, John. Let's hit the next game. Yeah, so you mentioned that TB12 Derek Carr question. Well, we've hit those games already. So who would you play, Brady or Carr? I'm sorry, Derek Carr. I mean, that's explosive offense. Explosive. Yeah, I'm with you there. I would go Carr today as well. Sunday night football matchups. We have the Bears versus the Packers. We've had a couple of Cole Kmet questions in chat already. Cole Kmet or Higbee? You're picking one today. I'm starting Cole Kmet. I mean, this is cool. This is the last chance for a couple guys. Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram. The behind-the-scenes usage was good in terms of their role, running routes. But if the offenses aren't going to be that good, or they're going to go to other targets, like we saw with Ingram, they went to Christian Kirk, they went to Zay Jones. With Cole Kmet, I'm still interested because they didn't even throw.
Right.
Like the target leader was David Montgomery with 4 targets. I want to see what it looks like. I'm starting Kmet this week. Higbee is a super low upside play. His average depth of target was like 2 yards. He dropped 2 passes. It's not an exciting play to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Packers side of things, obviously the wide receiver question, waiting on Alan Lazard's status. I think he's expected to play. Haven't seen an official update on him yet. I don't know if you have it, Coop.
I haven't. No, I think he's been expected to play though. So
yeah,
and the snaps
it'll be interesting to see how that wide receivers work out. We saw obviously Dubs last week have a decent game there at the end. Watson dropped that big touchdown catch. Would have made his day look a lot better. Probably changed the outlook, fantasy outlook on him for a lot of people as well. Had he been able to bring that in, maybe the biggest story from Green Bay though was the running back breakdown there with Dillon. More catches, more carries than Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean technically though. When we talk about usage being more important, Aaron Jones played 29 pass plays. AJ Dillon only played 19. So the box score would suggest that Dillon had a bigger role, and he kind of did compared to last year. But we've seen it time and time again over the course of the season in the grand scheme of things, the better usage, the guy who's on the field more, the guy who's playing more pass plays, he ends up getting more of that work. So keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on the split. Maybe the split changes this week, but as of now, I'd still lean Aaron Jones in PPR leagues over AJ Dillon.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the safer way to go. I think Jones is due for a big game at some point. He's too explosive of a player, but I've talked about it from the beginning. They use the second-round pick on AJ Dillon. LaFleur is very familiar with a big power back like that, given his days in Tennessee with Derrick Henry. His first opportunity to be a head coach, he goes and drafts a guy like Derrick Henry built, and now we're seeing him in year 3 starting to get more to that workload. So it will be certainly something to see there. So that's our Sunday games here, Coop. More questions in the chat. We'll try to get to them quickly here. Bateman, Landry, or Sutton in a half PPR?
In half PPR, I think I like Cortland Sutton in that group. Bateman, okay. I'm still cautious on him. But Landry, he's always been more of a half PPR guy, a little more low A dot. I think I like Sutton. But John, I could be swayed on this one. I could be swayed.
Yeah, I mean – I think Sutton is probably has the best quarterback, better matchup, right? He's got Wilson throwing him the football, and they're going up against Houston. So that's probably that. I probably go Sutton. I guess he wants to know: do you start Bateman over Landry or Sutton? I'm definitely playing Sutton. Would you play Bateman over Landry?
I think I would. I mean, I guess Sutton. You could be worried that the game script goes run heavy. I guess that's my only concern there.
Yeah.
But. They did go to Michael Thomas for both the touchdowns. Juwan Johnson played a ton. Chris Olave actually technically played the most snaps of any of the wide receivers there. So it's a little more crowded there. Whereas Bateman, I'm not that worried about Devin Duvernay. And the game script last week they only ran 56 snaps. The Ravens last week. I think this is more of a normal game for them. They're going to need to throw more, and I like Bateman a lot.
Yep. Do we have CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, or Drake London in a PPR?
I can't go away from Jalen Waddle right now. He looked great. We talked about it all offseason that either these wide receivers are going to struggle or Tua needs to step up. I think Tua might be stepping up here because he looked good. He was getting the ball to Tyreek and Waddle. Gesicki's kind of in the rearview mirror, didn't even play half the snaps. Cedric Wilson is only a part-time player. Durham Smythe played the most out of all 3 of those guys, and he's not a threat to take targets away. I think you're going to get highly consolidated targets, and Hill and Waddle are going to be guys. Man.
Here's what I noticed of Tua with Hill and Waddle and their success last week. It wasn't downfield plays. They basically threw short and let the receivers do it. So if that's their game plan, right, get these 2 explosive receivers and Waddle and Tyreek Hill, where they catch the ball in a little bit of space. And then their talent's what takes over, right? And that's what Waddle scored on. A short little in route, caught it, took it to the house. Tyreek Hill, sort of the same thing.
Go back and look at Jamar Chase highlights from last year. Yeah, he had a couple where he beat his guy deep, but it was a lot of that. It was a lot of just get him the ball, one cut, and a cloud of dust, right? And that's the difference between guys like, Jordy Nelson used to do that. Justin Jefferson does that. That's the difference between these guys and the Amon-Ra St. Browns that, they don't have the speed to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We have a question here from G2 Raw over on YouTube. Do you start Ingram since Kamara is out? I guess it depends on your other options, but if you have Ingram, this is why you have him, right? You have Ingram on your roster because Alvin Kamara as the handcuff. If Kamara's out, you go to Ingram. The sneaky thing with Ingram, he actually catches the football a little bit if they throw to him too. So he's not like inept in that aspect of the game as well. So I would start Ingram over Kamara, not knowing your other options there. It's probably the better option. And then we have Egypt. Amaro 21 wants to know DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, or Marquise Brown and a half PPR.
It's Jalen Waddle. Marquise Brown, Vegas wasn't high on him coming in, oddly enough. And, he is kind of playing that field stretcher role that can be inconsistent. And then, of course, DJ Moore is, probably if you're in a 3 wide receiver league, then you have DJ Moore in your lineup every week, but he's kind of boring in 2 wide receiver leagues. If you have these, and my advice for Egypt, if you can only start one of those 3 guys, what you need to be doing is start throwing trade offers around. Start throwing 2-for-1s around. See if you can take 2 of those guys and trade them for like a Jefferson or like a Cup or even AJ Brown. Because you're going to give yourself a headache picking between 3 really good players. Just try and consolidate.
Yeah, I agree with you. Andon's got a couple questions for us. And love you in the chat this morning. Hopefully we can give you the right answers. PPR, Jeff Wilson, Julio Jones, Allen Robinson.
I'm sorry, Jeff Wilson. I believe him.
Yeah, you got to go with the running back there, I think, as well. Again, another question, Mooney, Thielen, or Ayuk?
Oh, man. It's Mooney or Thielen for me.
Yeah, I go Thielen.
Yeah, I like Thielen too. And it's a Monday night game, which is it's just more fun,
Yeah, I agree with you there. Also, let's get to these Monday night games now that you mentioned it here. Tennessee, Buffalo giving 9.5, 49.5 game total. Obviously, the Gabe Davis news is the big one worth watching. Didn't practice, and now he is questionable for that Monday night football game. What's your thoughts there?
My thoughts on this, we had beat writer Sal Capaccio on the morning show, the 7 to 10 a.m. weekday morning show. Make sure you tune in, check us out with the FYF guys. It's a lot of fun. This show is, we dig in, we're deep on the football on this show. That show is a little more fun. Not more fun, but it's a little more nonsense, I would say. But we did have him on, and he said that he's scared of the Titans. The Titans give the Bills fits. If I'm going out and trying to pick a dog to cover, maybe not win, but cover the spread, I think the Titans could cover that 9.5. I think that's a pretty high line for a matchup that historically the Titans have kind of given them a tough time. I don't think it's really going to affect much in fantasy world, but in terms of the line, that's one where I'm willing to pick the dog.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Let me ask you, because we're getting it in the chat right now from Better Boss wants to know survivor pick. Would you take Buffalo in your survivor pool this week?
No, I wouldn't. That's not one I like. That one is to me is a little too much of a trap game. I think there are better options out there. Like if you didn't now is the time I think to use the 49ers, because you're not going to like them that much, but when they're 8.5 point favorites, they're probably going to win. Like that's a good one. Or the Broncos at the Texans. That if you're just playing it as safe as possible and going for the best possible slam dunk, gotta go Broncos there.
Yeah, and of course, if you go over to Fantasy Alarm, and Adam Ronas will be on later in the Better Zone, he writes out the Survivor Weekly article. So check it out. See who Adam Ronas is suggesting you pick in your Survivor pool. Last week, he said the Baltimore Ravens. So it's certainly something to go there. And Coop, we mentioned it earlier, right? We're gonna have Alex Barth on talking about the New England Patriots matchup today against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to have him on the show again shortly, coming on with us to talk a little bit, maybe answer some of those questions there. And we have Alex with us now, Alex of 985thesportshub.com. Follow him on Twitter at @TheRealAlexBarth. Alex, thanks for jumping on.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Sorry for the delay. Little technical difficulties, but we got it.
Yeah, no,
right,
busy,
man.
a little busy
Sunday
today.
morning.
How's it going, guys?
Good,
doing
man.
well, doing well.
Big fan of your work, buddy. I'm a Patriots fan, so I want to get the nitty gritty. I do listen to your podcast, The Patriots Beat, man. It's good, good times, dude. It was you and Evan Lazar, and then now you and Ryan do a great job. And it's good to get the insight. So any Patriots fans out there, make sure you tune into that. That's the stuff that I'm listening to when I'm not doing fantasy football stuff. So keep up the good work with that, man.
So, Alex, I got to ask you some questions here. Obviously, Patriots facing off Steelers here. The Mac Jones injury, right? Dealing with the back last week. All reports are he's feeling okay. What's the latest updates on Mac Jones here?
I mean, he arrived to the stadium today. He's already there. He was on the first team bus, so that's an encouraging sign. It got a little weird Thursday with that illness, but it sounds like that was an illness. It was just, I know it sounds weird. It sounds like that was just sort of bad timing, right? Coming off the back injury. So all indications are he's good to go. You know, you're going to get banged around an NFL season. That's what happens, but there aren't expected to be any limitations.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's back injuries are tough, right? Tony Romo said on the broadcast, do you know anyone that used to have a bad back? So let's hope that it's just like a little tweak and not something long term. So I got one here for you for the fantasy gamers out there, and I know you're not going to be able to give us a definitive answer because it's the Patriots after all, and the backfield is always kind of a mix. You know, historically it's been a split system, right? You have a rundown guy, pass down guy. They each have their own backups, right? But if you could try and sort it out, who do you think is going to step into that kind of pass catching role with Ty Montgomery out?
So I think they're going to do something a little new, at least new for them. And it's something that they kind of hinted at during the preseason. I think it's just going to be Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson just spelling each other drive for drive, right? And look, they both can catch the ball. When they drafted Damian Harris in 2019, I was sitting there saying, this is great. He's like Rex Burkhead. He can play both spots. And they really haven't used him in that way. I felt the same way about Ramondre too. They actually did throw the ball at him a little more last year, at least than they did compared to Harris. But you saw Harris involved in the passing game last week. He had a couple catches. He held up in pass pro too, one of the few guys on the team who did. But that's encouraging because if he's not blocking, they're not going to put him out there in those situations. So, yeah, it's going to be a little different, I think, for the Patriots, at least until Montgomery comes back. I wonder if even when Montgomery comes back, if they would continue to do the same thing, just rotating 3 guys instead of 2. So I don't know that there is a James White role on this team right now. Some people have suggested it could be Pierre Strong, the rookie, but he missed a bunch of time in camp. He wasn't super involved in the preseason. I just wonder if they think he's ready. They generally are very cautious about playing rookies at that position. So I don't think there is like I know fantasy fans hate the Patriots because there's no definitive backfield. I think it's even cloudier now than it was before because you don't have a James White guy who's going to get 10 targets. I think it's going to be split between Harris and Stevenson.
So one stat I always throw around is that 20 years now since Belichick's been there hasn't been a back to get 200 plus carries or 35 plus receptions. You got to go back to the rookie Robert Edwards and the ill-fated rookie sophomore beach game, and then Curtis Martin. Do you think that with this type of split, does that become more possible, or is it actually still just going to be kind of split down the middle at best?
I still think that's asking a lot because they are very cognizant about how much they're putting on, like the workload for all their running backs. They don't want to run guys in the ground, right? So I still think they'll split it pretty evenly between those two. Now, if an injury happens and they're not, everybody came into the offseason, oh, look how deep the Patriots are drafting 2 guys. It evaporated like that, right? So it could still happen with injury. And obviously Harris has struggled to play a full season. Stevenson was banged up last year, but they're not going to overwork either of these guys. They're going to, I think, split it up. They still have JJ Taylor too on the practice squad who they can elevate, and they probably will elevate at some point. So I don't think, they're going to bell cow any of these backs, but it's just going to be kind of a more well-rounded role for each of them.
Alex, much was made of Kendrick Bourne's lack of involvement, obviously, last week, and then there were some reports coming out that Robert Kraft may have had something to say about that. Do we think Bourne is going to be more involved here in week 2?
I think he'll be more involved, and we talked to him this week, and he sounded like he believes he'll be more involved. Now, the question is, what does more mean, right? He played 2 snaps last week. I think it was 6% technically. Does more mean 20% that, maybe they say they think he's the 4th wide receiver? I don't agree with that, but that's what they say. So is it 20% is the 4th wide receiver? Is it, I think it's probably should be around 40, 45%. Some people want it to be in the 60s like it was last year at times. Some people think he should be a 90% usage rate guy. So I think he will play more. It's just very tough to tell what more means. When they say he's the 4th wide receiver, do they truly believe that? Because there's some indication that that's true. Or are they feeding us a line so we're not digging too deep into why he was actually benched last week? He should play more. I think he should. I know I said I think it will be 40. I think he should be about 60, 65% usage rate guy. I don't think they should be playing any of their receivers 90% like they did last week. I think the beauty of this group, there's not a ton of difference between 1 and 4, even if Bourne is 4. And they're all very different skill sets. They should be rotated. But Yeah, it's I think more, the real question is, what does more mean? I think that's what kind of everybody's holding their breath on.
Yeah, he
I'll
comes
tell
in the
you what.
game, he catches a 41-yard pass, right? Like that's something that he can bring to that team that doesn't feel like really anybody else, maybe outside of
Right.
Aguilar, can stretch the field right now for them.
I'll tell you this too. I think when he's in the game, like you talk about, he came right in the game last week and Mac targeted him, right?
Yeah.
Mac loves this guy. They got a great relationship off the field, obviously great chemistry on the field. Mac wants him on the field. So when Bourne is out there, however much it is, Mac is going to look to maximize those opportunities because it's a way for him to tell the coaching staff, hey, you maybe only want to play this guy 20% of the time, 40% of the time, whatever. He needs to play more. Look at what happens when he's on the field. So however much he does play today, I think Mac's going to do his best to get him involved.
Yeah,
I think what it's going to be is more means whatever the Crafts want it to mean, right? If they come down and say we want this guy on the field, then I think they're gonna. I mean, they haven't historically been the Jerry Jones type, but
no, they've never.
I think
that's the thing. It would be it's really unprecedented territory here. You know, does Kraft give him a snap count, or did Kraft just say, hey, he needs to play more and leave it at that? Like it's really, and will Bill listen? You know, Bill famously doesn't. You know, he's talked about, you know, in other situations where teams get buried because the owner gets involved, and he says coaches maybe shouldn't be go along with it as easily. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. This is Alex Barth of 98.5thesportshub.com. Thank you for joining us. Give a follow at Real Alex Barth on Twitter. Got a lot to do today, Alex, right? Covering the Patriots versus Steelers game. Appreciate you joining on with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man. Cheers, dude. Make sure you follow him. If you're a Patriots fan or not, he's got all the info. And that Patriots Beat Pod, it is awesome. Awesome, man. I love the insights, especially on defense, because with fantasy, we don't get enough of that. So thank you for doing what you do, man. Good stuff.
Absolutely appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Talk to you a bit, Alex. Thank you. So that's Alex Barth again, 98.5thesportshub.com. Covers the Patriots beat there at Real Alex Barth over on Twitter. Give him a follow. Coop, we got a couple more minutes here again, but don't leave. There's plenty more to come on the Bettor Sports Network. 11-1. We Sports Fantasy Crew taking you up until kickoff there. And then we have after them the Bettor Zone with Corey, Adam, and Tom. So a lot going on here still on the Bettor Sports Network here after Coop and I. And we're going to continue answering your questions. Front Yard Fantasy will continue answering your questions. So we'll be there and giving you all the up-to-date news as well. As we've mentioned already, Alvin Kamara ruled out. Michael Pittman ruled out. Chris Godwin is out for today. Alec Pierce is out. We think that George Kittle also not likely to play. J.K. Dobbins not likely to play. So a lot of big injury news already going down, and more will be coming official as inactives happen. But we want you to be part of the show, right? Got to go to your app store. Got to go download the Bettor Sports Network app. Subscribe, click join show, get your questions into us. Call into the shows all day. Give us your takes. Give us your feeds. Who's ruining your fantasy teams? Who's winning your fantasy teams? What do you got for DFS? What bets? What player props are you in on for today? All of that, we want to hear from you. So make sure you join in and give us a call, Coop. But like I said, we're getting these questions coming in fast. We've covered the first Monday Night Football game, final Monday Night Football game here, Minnesota Vikings against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles giving 51.5 game total here. Any big news you're thinking in this matchup?
There's not really a lot of injury stuff going on, so that's good. You know, for fantasy, I hate when there's injury stuff on Monday, like the Gabe Davis one. So, for me, you're starting Jefferson, Thielen, Kirk Cousins where you got to, and then you're starting Hurts. You're starting Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. Devonta Smith had good usage, 98% of the routes where he ran, 96% of the snaps. Get him in there if you need someone. He's going to do better this week. You know what I mean? It's inevitable. So.
Exactly. Just you didn't get targeted. I mean, again, when AJ Brown's getting 15 targets, right? That's kind of hammering a lot of the usage there. All three running backs scored a touchdown. That's probably going to be the bane of our existence this season. Jalen Hurts ran in from one. Miles Sanders ran one. Gainwell ran in one. Boston Scott ran in one. So any of those could have gone to any of them, right? That's just the way it came out. So from a fantasy manager, you're frustrated. But you and I are big Miles Sanders stands. So we have to love the fact that, one, he got the majority of the carries, and two, he finally scored a touchdown. He had 0 last year. He's 1 for 1. He's on the 18 touchdown pace, Coop. So, great news for those who took the stab on Miles Sanders because he was really falling down draft boards.
7 yards to carry. Just keep going to him. And yeah, we only have so much time left, so let's just try and knock as many start sits. I told people we're hitting all these start sits. So if we don't get to it at the end of the show here, I'll be in the YouTube chat. I'm just going to answer all the questions in the chat.
Yeah, go for it. We got
at me on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco. I'll answer them there too. Let's go.
Yeah, same thing here at Impemba77. Both of us. You can follow at Fantasy Alarm. You can ask questions over at Fantasy Alarm as well. You can also join our Discord. Premium Discord, go to fantasyalarm.com/all-pro. It's 50% off the first 6 months. It's like $20 a month for the first 6 months. It's really hard to beat that. You can join in, get in our Discord, get access to all of our DFS content. Week 3 last season, we made a millionaire coup. So maybe week 3 this year, we'll have another millionaire as well. So a lot of good things happening over at Fantasy Alarm. You mentioned questions, though. We'll get to them right now as we're closing down the show. We got DJ Moore. We asked to answer that one already. Ingram, Lockett, or Penny at flex?
Ingram, Lockett, or Penny? I would start Rashad Penny. I think that he looked good last week. He's playing the full role, and you want to start a running back whenever you can.
Yep, I agree with you there. We've answered the CeeDee Lamb one. Jeff Wilson, Pierce, or Kirk?
Ooh, that's kind of tough. It's either between Jeff Wilson or Christian Kirk. What is this, full PPR, half PPR, or they just throw it out there?
They just threw it out there.
John, Wilson or Kirk? What are you feeling?
Wilson probably.
I like Wilson.
Kirk is a tough match. Yeah, listen, the Colts have a really good secondary, right? So kind of hard to go up against them. They have Gilmore. They have Moore. They have a lot of good guys in that secondary there. So Ingram or Akers? That's an Ingram for me.
Ingram.
That one's pretty easy. Henderson, Swift, or Carter in a full PPR?
If Swift is a full go, you have to start Swift. If Swift isn't playing, then I would start Henderson. Henderson played pretty much all the snaps. That's why we're fading Cam Akers. He only played 12 snaps. You can't trust it.
I agree with you. Hold out for Gabe Davis tomorrow. Play Michael Carter today. They also have Isaiah McKenzie. I think you just wait out the Buffalo status there. McKenzie's actually a really good play. Scored last week. A lot of hype there. So
if Gabe Davis is out, McKenzie, you just start McKenzie. It's an easy one.
If Gabe Davis is out, McKenzie is what Gabe Davis has been the last few seasons. Right?
Next man up.
Next man up. Rashard Penny, Curtis Samuel. Doesn't say PPR or not, but what are your thoughts there?
PPR or not is actually super important for that question, to be honest.
I'm probably going to go Samuel, though.
I'll start Samuel, yeah, because Samuel got a couple carries too. Very intriguing usage for Curtis Samuel. Those carries can create a nice floor.
He did say PPR league. So
full
Samuel,
PPR, go Curtis Samuel. Yep.
Sutton or Henderson?
Daryl Henderson.
I got to go Daryl Henderson. It's a great matchup for Sutton, but I think Henderson can get 100-yard rushing today, assuming Cam Akers continues not to play, right? McVay kind of goes out there and says, we have to see urgency from Akers when he's on the field. If Akers all of a sudden goes out there and looks good in an easier matchup against Atlanta, maybe he gets a higher usage of the carries, and that cuts into Henderson. One of the reasons, if we talk, chalk plays in DFS, Daryl Henderson is among the highest expected rostered running backs this week, Coop. Do you think that's good chalk or bad chalk?
I think that is good chalk this week. It's a great matchup with the Falcons. He should be more expensive given how much he played. Maybe they do mix in Cam Akers a little more, but 50 snaps to 12 that's ridiculous. That's like Christian McCaffrey versus Donta Foreman and those guys. You know what I mean? Is a kind of, you don't really see that. So the fact that they were willing to do that makes me in on that. And I see another question: favorite to win the week, drop New Orleans defense for Green Bay, or just hold New Orleans rest of the season? I'm holding on to the New Orleans dream. I think their defense is good, and the dream is that their bye week isn't until week 14. So how nice is it just to be able to roll with one defense all year? Whenever I have the Colts and the Saints, I'm just rolling with them and hoping that they are a top 5 defense, and then I just kick my feet up and not have to worry about defense for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm with you there. A couple more questions we got in the chat. We have, where is it? Bateman at Robinson. Wait for Gabe Davis or Devonta Smith in a half PPR.
I'll start Devonta Smith. He played the whole game. He's got there are brighter days coming for that player.
Yeah, I think that's where I would go there as well. Just kind of running through here. Kirk, Higgins, Deontay Johnson, or Amari Cooper?
Kirk, Higgins, Deontay Johnson, or Amari Cooper. I'm not starting Amari Cooper out of that group.
I think I'll go with Deontay against New England.
Yeah, I like Deontay against New England. New England doesn't have the shutdown.
How Waddle and Hill tore him apart on short space routes last week, right?
They don't have the shutdown quarter anymore. No more Gilmore. No more J.C. Jackson.
Yep, that's where I'm going. Drake London or Chase Claypool today. I have Claypool in some DFS lineups today, but what are your thoughts?
London.
Okay.
I think they're gonna have to throw a ton. He's the guy. Pitts is playing like an inline role, so it's all Drake London.
Claypool had 6 carries last week. They were all on end arounds, but like still, that's a high usage rate for carries for Claypool. So, Jacobs or Zeke?
That's a tough. That one breaks my heart, but I think I'm starting Josh Jacobs, man. It's a Cooper rush offense. Can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. Montgomery, Edmonds as an RB2.
Montgomery. He played the full snap share. That's what I'm doing. You like Edmonds?
Yeah. Would you play Edmonds or Kirk in the flex then?
I would play Edmonds and Montgomery.
So we're going both. And that's it, everybody. Stay tuned. Front Yard Fantasy coming up next. This is the Game Day Playbook Week 2. Talk to you guys.